Why is this happening to me? Hello?
Hello?
I was like flipping around like crazy.
Are you just
Okay.
like
Have you tried turning him off and back on again?
Okay, where am I? What am I looking at? I'm like moving around, scooting. Are we all in the forward position? Are you how we're supposed to be? I fucked up. I stood up. Okay. I am ready, I suppose. Okay, we are in the pre. We're in the pre-show. We are in the getting ready to start this thing.
Alright, I'm logging. Oh,
We are live. We are live, by the way, so don't do anything crazy.
Pretty sure we talk about what you're going to talk about.
Leave that for the after show.
huh?
Huh?
That's where you
What are,
talk about what you talked about.
what are we talking about?
What? What are you on? Are you zooted right now?
Subscriptions. Woof Radio. Boop. Okay.
Okay. To reiterate, are we sitting how we're gonna be sitting for the next 30 minutes? Like, are you done adjusting yourselves so I can adjust the camera?
Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay.
sit like this.
It's a little bit more difficult because like there's 3 of us here, so it's a little bit more zoomed out, but it's fine. It's whatever, you know. It's no big deal. Because usually we're like here, we're like just the 2 of us, so it's like super like way closer.
Yeah.
But today we have EB. What if we leave Evie out and then later we'll switch him in?
You want to do live on the camera cuts? That's your prerogative.
We just need another person here who's only in charge of the camera.
Yeah, they're just like moving the camera around, like doing like little
Mm-hmm.
like flybys.
That
That'll
would
have
be
a
really cool.
that would have a an indie film vibe where
Indie
you
film
always are
vibe.
panning instead of cutting.
I'm super far away, but that's okay because the audio should still be good. You done winking there? You okay?
Is my thing winking?
Oh, Evie's mouth isn't moving.
It's
Unmute
not.
yourself. Yeah.
What about you, Frosty? Move your mouth.
Ah, ba, 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 ba,
Yeah, Frosty's good. Frosty's good.
Alright, let me share this to the interwebs.
Now I'm back to hearing you both double
Yeah, but wait, say something?
voices. Okay, let's try it now. Can you see my mouth move?
Yeah,
Is it working?
no, hang on. Let me see. Maybe it's no, maybe it's me.
Well, because I know if you turn off one setting,
Is it working now? Can you see it moving?
no.
You're check your microphone for VR chat. You're not mm.
Turn my threshold all the way down. It's always on. No earmuff mode. Mic output's 100%.
Welcome to the troubleshooting episode, guys.
Woo! Woo!
How is it
Woo!
now? Did that fix anything?
Say something?
Something.
There you go. There you go. Now I need
Okay,
to
so
mute.
it's the wrong device.
device.
Oh, that's probably what it is.
All right, say something.
Oh shit. This is awkward. Okay, now I'm muting everyone.
Okay.
Is that still working? Still good?
Yeah, you're still
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There you go. We fixed it, guys. It's all good. Troubleshooting on the fly. Like this is the first time we do this. Isn't that amazing? Emotional damage. Whenever you're ready. I'm just waiting on you.
What do you mean waiting on me?
Yeah. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you good, Frosty? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm just
You set?
posting to all social medias.
Posting to the
I
social
am
medias.
the Wolf Radio social media manager. Okay, thanks.
Don't
It's
forget MySpace.
just you by yourself in a like maintenance closet.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna give it like 30 more seconds to get like mentally prepared. I feel like at some point like I do need to start writing scripts and doing like a virtual teleprompter and just reading a monologue off script. Who's moaning? Is that you, EB? Are you moaning? You're like little eh,
No.
eh, eh.
Do I need to turn
What the
my
heck?
threshold up?
Huh,
That's not me, is it? Or is it picking up my phone? Because
I don't
I'm
know.
watching the stream, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, definitely mute phone. Mute phone. Do
Mhm.
not. That's probably you.
I just had it because I wanted to make sure everyone's voice sounded okay.
Okay. So did it?
Yeah, I think
Like,
everyone sounds good.
are we okay? Are we good? Am I like check 1 2. Okay, I see the audio going through. Okay. All right. Let's get this started. Welcome back to another Woof Radio. Today we have episode 11, The Dead Internet. Let me get this started with the monologue. As usual, it's going to be around 10 minutes of me just spouting off what I have to spout off. And then afterwards, we're going to give it to Frosty. And today we have a guest, EB. He's going to give his point of view of our dead internet and how we are headed towards a non sociable social space. Okay, so from my reference point of view, I'm gonna get this started. I'm gonna say it's furry Twitter. Furry Twitter is usually how I interact with the furry fandom. And over the last 4 years, I've been very active coming back into the furry fandom. And I can say it's a complete contrast as opposed to how things were back in 2006 to 2014 when it comes to my interactions with furries. And from what I have seen on Twitter, a lot of people feel the same way because we call back to this, the golden age of the furry fandom where it was DeviantArt back in 2012 and everybody was doing art trades and everybody was, just being furry wolves online and the creating personas and just having fun and having genuine interactions where people would make comments about art and like support each other, and there was never really any pressure to like try to make it big. Like we knew of artists that were big, like we all had people we were looking up to, like I looked up to Esky Works, I looked up to White Spirit Wolf, I looked up to people like Falvey, big artists, big furry name artists, but it wasn't like one of those things where I didn't feel like anybody was like, "Oh, that's got to be me." Like I have to get there. Like, I have to get those numbers, blah 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 blah. But now we current year, 2024, the furry fandom has very much become very corporate, and for a lot of furry artists it feels like and I am saying this from I guess, I suppose, a customer's point of view, because a lot of the art that I do is very simple. Like, I really don't spend a lot of time on art. Like, yeah, ooh, I made this logo here, these little paw print. Like, but that I don't really consider that to be, anything significant. So remember, I am saying these things as a customer. I'm saying this as somebody who puts money into the system, and from what I see, most of the time it's not a very neat process. And you have people that are like super corporate, like they're like, hey, I don't want to talk to you. Just give me your money, give me your request, and let me handle it. I don't want to like deal with you as a person. Like, I just want your money, and I'm gonna deliver you whatever I deliver you. And it just makes it so difficult because when you go and get, something you don't like, and that's from what I'm hearing from a lot of people is they kinda just accept it because it's so difficult to communicate with people about these changes and about, the attitude that the artists have is just like they just accept it. Like, "Oh, there's so many mistakes, but, I really don't wanna confront them." And, over time, like, every few months, it explodes on Twitter. You get the discourse where it's like, "Oh, artists need to do better. They need to communicate. They need to, like, be nice. They need to be friendly, blah, 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 blah." But it's like, these people just need to do, like, a basic level of friendliness because it's like a self-run business. Like, they don't have time. They're trying to do the job of, like, 10 different people, marketing and all this stuff, and it's all self-made. Especially when tax season comes around, they have to do their taxes, so there's another job they have to do. So, yeah, it is overwhelming. So, my argument is that, a lot of this stuff just isn't for everyone, but we've fallen into this mentality that everybody has to go this way. Like, "Oh, you have to be self-made. You have to, like, do things this certain way." And it's all about numbers. It's all about churning numbers instead of actually, putting in, like, enthusiasm and passion into art. It really just becomes churn and burn. It's just, at the self-made rate. And a lot of artists, from my point of view, it looks like they're getting confused and they sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Like, I understand, like, a paycheck is a paycheck. But I personally, it doesn't sit well with me that there's a lot of artists out there that, will just find filler content to keep their, account active. So they'll have opinions and they'll have, political activism and stuff, literally just to fill in between art posts, just to generate algorithm traction. And, I personally believe that's not a good look. That's like, it's supposed to be your business account. You should keep it professional, and you should probably keep your opinions away from it. But from what I've understood, and I've talked to a few artists, it's like, a lot of them do like to say, "Oh, this is my stance on it." And I guess you're filtering your audience and you're filtering your customer base to have your same ideologies and mental, I guess, I hate using the word, but I guess you're trying to echo chamber yourself, and it just does not sit well with me. I would very much rather prefer artists who just, keep the politics away from their work, keep, all these social issues away from the fandom, because at the end of the day, I personally don't believe that, you can make a serious, meaningful impact as a furry voice when it comes to the bigger, serious issues. Like, I don't I I think whenever you automatically, and yes, I understand it might seem like I'm shooting myself in the foot because I'm talking to you as, a white wolf furry right now. So I understand. I understand that it looks like I'm shooting myself in the foot, but, like, hear me out. Like, I just feel like you shouldn't be jumping into the political activism sphere as a furry because honestly, across the board, it like devalues our community. It makes things much more abrasive and aggressive where, a lot of people just want to have fun and they just want to come to the furry community and just be stupid, silly dogs, be stupid, silly wolves, and like role play and you know, get art of their characters. They don't care about what politicians are doing. They don't care what's going on in your state government. And it's like so many people have drilled it down your throat that you have to be political. And unfortunately, the algorithm itself, and this is where the whole dead internet is coming into, is like the algorithms themselves are forcing a lot of these businesses, the self-made businesses, to engage with these inflammatory, aggressive political stances because it generates traction, and traction generates revenue because more customers are coming in to look at your stuff. But I just, that to me it feels dishonest. It feels like you're only making those posts where you're being inflammatory and aggressive because at the end of the day you want money. Like like and I hate to say it, but it's like, would you really want to fight for those things? Are those the things that you want to, die in a hill on as a furry? And that just makes it absolutely ridiculous and silly because it's like you're trying to sway public opinion. You're trying to sway the normies as a furry. Like you're trying to appeal and appease normies. Like what are you doing? Like, do you really think any of these normies are gonna actually take your side? Like that was the whole point of being a furry, right? Like back in the day, like everybody thought we were freaks, everybody thought we were losers. So where did all this come from? Like I feel like one of the biggest sources pushing us towards the dead internet is the hyper politicization of the internet. And I hate to get political, but here's the thing, here's the truth. The objective truth is back in 2008, Obama ran the first successful internet campaign, the first successful social internet campaign. And ever since then, the internet has been hyper political. Like it has gotten insane. And to make things worse, yeah, I understand. Like we have to grow up, right? Like it's just part of life. Like we're growing. And the way the internet is growing is like people don't separate. They don't separate. They try to like merge everything together, but there needs to be some separation between, serious subjects and humorous, like lighthearted stuff. And I feel like that just doesn't happen anymore because there's so many people in the furry fandom that are coming into their 30s and they're just radiating all this toxicity, all this like algorithm bait. Like, yes, I understand, it's very tragic and it's very sad that so many people have been abused and used and torn down, and now they've become this completely different person that they're unrecognizable. Like I understand it. Like, back in 2010 during the middle of the golden years, we were all kids basically. Like I get it. Life was a lot simpler. We weren't political lobbyists. We weren't any of this stuff. I guess you could say we were uneducated. We were ignorant. But it made the internet such a happier place. Like it was nice to log in and just fuck around and role play with friends and draw stupid doodles. And honestly, a lot of people just can't do that anymore. Like they log on and they're like, "Oh, I got to get my political bait in so I can generate revenue for my business." And it is literally killing the internet. And it's so sad because the current generations are just being constantly bombarded with all this toxicity and political stuff that they're never going to get to experience an internet where it's like just stupid, fun, stupid, like home videos of people just doing stupid shit, like on a trampoline and fucking Nyan Cat, like fucking Gmod videos and just complete chaos. And like, yeah, oh, you could say, oh, well, they have Skibidi Toilet now. And it's like, okay, they have that. And then they have all this political stuff smashed into it. Like, it's not the same. It is not the same. Like, and that's just where we're moving forward. It's like all this advertisement and propaganda, it's all being smashed into the new generations. And it shows because our fucking 18-year-olds to 25-year-olds in the fandom are literally just nonstop seeking to burn other people. Like the dead internet, guys, dead internet, just literally nonstop witch hunts. And it's been nonstop witch hunts since fucking 2016, basically. Like I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Like it's just not for me. And it pushes me away. It pushes me away from so many things. And it's so hard. It's so hard to find authentic people that'll like, just actually be genuinely friendly, not because they want you to buy something. Because I've been talking to people, and a lot of these people, they're not being forward and direct with you. At the end of the day, like if you connect the dots, they want to be friendly with you only if it means that they're gonna make money off of it. Like, like and this sucks. This sucks because I've talked to a couple artists now, and a lot of them will be like, "Well, it's okay if you drop by and chat with me and socialize while I'm at my vending station." And that just blows my mind, and it makes me angry because it's like you realize that's not an authentic interaction. You're calling me to your place of business to be friendly, and if and it's almost like a guilt trip, right? Like, and everybody talks about it, and we all fucking make memes about it. It's like, oh, whenever I go to the store and don't buy anything, I feel like I stole something. So it's the same idea. If I go to somebody's vending station and I buy nothing, you think I'm not going to feel guilty? Like, I'm going to feel guilty. I'm like, oh, I was here at your place of business and I didn't get anything from you. And I personally feel that like that makes me look like an asshole. Like why are people like, yeah, come talk to me at my vending station? It's like, why can't we just talk like adults and fucking like have some Starbucks or something like together, like me not buying it for you, just equally exchanging time, right? Like equally exchanging time. Like my time is valuable, but I'm going to accept that your time is worth the same amount. Like I don't ever like this position where people are like, I'm only going to give you my time if you're paying for it. Because I had somebody literally tell me, they fucking told me to my face. It's like, I really only make friends with like clients and like people that, I find meet my requirements. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So really what you're saying is you're pay to play. Like if I buy something from you and I repeatedly buy something from you, I'll eventually get a chance to be your friend. Which is another portion. It's another portion of what is killing the internet is and I really don't have, I guess, friendly, fun terms for it, but it's like, it's simp behavior and OnlyFans behavior. And we like using the OnlyFans behavior and simp behavior because it's so visible and it's fucking everywhere. Where it's like, it is exactly that. It's like all transactional. It's all transactional relationships. As long as they're making money off of you, they love to have you around. So you're like pay to play friendships, pay to play fucking, you know, and it sucks because I see it on Twitch too, right? Like the whole thing with Twitch, it's like, oh, become like a premium tier 3. And a lot of streamers would be like, oh, like you're my MVP, like I love you, XX fucking Sylvie Rocker 92. And it's just it's so fake. It's so fake and shallow, but everything is headed that way. Everything is headed that way, and people are literally getting lonelier. People have more mental illness caused by the social rejections online and not being capable of going out in the real world because their anxiety's through the fucking roof because of their online interactions. Like it's so like the internet has just become so toxic and poisonous and radioactive in every which way, and it's just it sucks. I hate it altogether. I don't know. how much more I'm going to stick around, honestly, because like I see left and right, people like leaving, like goodbye, goodbye, leaving, leaving. Oh, I've had enough of the fandom. Like I don't need this anymore, and I'm just sitting there questioning myself. It's like, at what point am I gonna get there? Because I can't even interact with people anymore. Like I'll leave I will leave well thought out responses and literally get pure silence. And that alone just tells me that people are literally just fucking making posts just to generate revenue. They don't actually care to fucking talk to people. And when I ask a question that, exposes them for the authenticity, they completely go quiet. They don't want to answer it. Like I literally asked somebody, like, why don't you separate all of these political opinions and your personal opinions to a separate account? You know, are you doing this because it generates you revenue, like traffic? And they just went completely silent, and I haven't heard back from them. And I'm like, oh, so I hit the nail on the head. Boom. You know, I don't like doing gotchas, but that's definitely like, hey, caught you red-handed. Like that's literally what you're doing. It's just it's deceitful. It's just deceiving in its own way. The way I see it, it's like that's just not real. That's not real at all. You're just paying to pretend to be their friend. It's all parasocial. It's parasocial. And we like to make fun of that word. We like to say, oh, this is parasocial, like parasocial. But it's like, no, that's the reality of things. That's the reality of things, especially with AI. A big factor that is solidifying the dead internet is AI. Not only are you going to get AI images of fake people pretending to be a real person, all that, you're going to get fake chat generated messages. And I can tell you already, a lot of people are falling for it. Literally go to any like AI generated girlfriend like account, and a lot of those people do actually believe that's a real person. You look at Facebook, a lot of those boomers thinks that the AI generated stuff is real. Like we it's all just going to be fake.
Shit.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, that's my bit. Like I'm just so fucking sick and tired of it, and I just do not see us recovering from this. Like this is just the way the internet is. Like we just need to find a way like to just completely reset everything, and I don't know, I have no answers for this. Like I don't know how to fix this. Like, and I don't think anybody else does either, because this is just cash revenue. Like it is making them so much cash to just have these, like, the algorithm traction bait, the OnlyFans bait, just simply pretending that you can be people's friends. Like, and listen to me. It is not just about not safe for work stuff. It is not just about porn. This is not just about porn. This is literally people in general. Like I have seen safe for work accounts literally do the same thing, where they pretend, they sit there and pretend like they're going to be everybody's friend, but there's like, how is that possible? You cannot be the friend of 20,000 people. Like, even if all 20,000 of those people aren't going to be your friends, like, how are you going to put your Steam account and pretend like you're going to play with like even 10 of those people out of the 500 that sent you friend requests? All you are doing is literally deceiving people into this image that you're going to be their friend. And it's generating an incredible amount of traction for you. And that to me is just scummy. Like it's just scum. Like I wish more people would be like, hey, you know, you don't quite fit with who I think of as a friend, and I don't think you should even contact me. Like, move along, please. Like, if you would just like copy paste a message and just have people move along, like, hey, I'm not looking for friends, I'm not looking for, but instead what people do is that they constantly bait people into thinking that you have the possibility of being their friend, which that's not the case. That is not the case at all. Especially with these accounts that have like 20, 50,000 followers, like, and people are so desperate that they will sit there and reply, and it just gives me like this deep sadness. Like, that is so sad. You should already know that this person with an account of 50,000 followers is never going to be your friend. It's almost like the same scenario, right? Where you have like this multimillionaire, where people at disadvantage economically, they're never going to want to be their friends authentically because he has $30 million. Like, what? That doesn't work. You know. All right. Well, I'm gonna end it there. That is my bag, I guess, my bag of pennies on the dead internet, and I'm gonna give it to Frosty. Frosty, what do you think? Tell me your perspective of things. Having lived through the golden age of DeviantArt, having lived through the golden age of Wolf Girls Online, what do you see now?
So pretty much like now is just definitely not anything like how it used to be. So my experience and what I'm recalling specifically is just like uh the years between like 2006 and like 2014, right? Of like DeviantArt. I'd say that's a good range, but basically on DeviantArt, like yes, like you said before, like most of us were kids. Most of us, and I say majority, were probably anywhere from the ages of like 13 to like 25. I'd say that that was like the cutoff, right? And so most wolfaboo artists, which I'm using the term wolfaboo because that was actually an old term that we used to call ourselves, and someone actually mentioned it on Twitter, and I was like, whoa, I totally forgot about that term. But yeah, essentially we weren't on DeviantArt making art for profit. We were all on DeviantArt making art for fun. Like we were going on there, and a lot of us were coming on there after school or after their college classes, and making journals, making posts, and like favoriting art, and like leaving comments, like actual thoughtful, like you know, uh, critiques and stuff. And we were making like actual friendships. Like we were forming friendships that were almost equivalent to the friends that we had outside in the real world. And it's like, unfortunately, I only talked to like maybe like one or two of those friends that I made in DeviantArt. And like, I look now on Twitter, and it's almost like incredibly difficult to make friendships. And this is something we've talked about like in previous episodes too, where there's just like this spike in anxiety and social anxiety. And so that obviously doesn't help. But again, like with the whole like consumerism thing, right? This like capitalist furry, like, I guess, agenda. Like everyone is trying to make a profit. Everyone has made a lot of people have made art as their livelihood. And it's like, props to you guys. Like I saw my hobby as an artist as something that I could not make money from, because just simply because my skill wasn't there. And I'm sure that like if I would have like stuck through it and actually like gone to school and like for art specifically, like maybe my art would have improved. But like I chose the route where, okay, I'm going to go into the workforce and just kind of put art as a hobby. And so it's like now we have all these artists that have, like I said, made it their livelihood, and they're constantly like trying to get, yeah, like they're trying to hit the algorithm. They're trying to get their work out there. And it's hard. Like it's definitely not an easy job. Like I'll tell you that right now. If I was like a full-time artist, like I'd probably stressed out of my mind. And so because of that, I feel like a lot of people have a hard time making friendships because they want to dedicate their time and energy to their quote unquote business. And it's like it it really hinders just the internet in general, because at that point it's like you only want to interact if it has some sort of benefit to you specifically. And maybe that's just human nature. Maybe humans aren't just naturally like that, but it's just like how I see it, it's like it's just very different than how things were like a couple years ago, like 10 years ago. And it's like also on DeviantArt, like nobody was really talking about politics. Nobody was really talking about the war in Iraq or Afghanistan, whatever, or the recession back then, like cuz I know those were like the big things. And it's like even on Twitter, because I did have a Twitter account back then, although I wasn't like using it as much as I used to, but it's just like nobody was really as politically charged as we are now today. And it's just like, and like you said with Obama, like politics has like weaved itself into like the internet so hard. And it's like now it's like it's almost impossible to go to a place that is not infected with like politics and political views. And like I guess the most sterile area or like website that I've seen is probably Blue Sky, because Blue Sky you can kind of filter all that out. And I do see less political posts. It doesn't mean that there aren't any political posts. I just see less of it. And again, that might just be because of my settings or something. I'm not following all those political people, but it's like, yeah, like, you'll have certain artists that are like, let's not to get into deep subjects, but the Palestinian Israeli conflict, right? You see a lot of artists posting their opinions and their views about it, and it's not a bad thing, but it's like, I'm here to see your art. I'm here. Hi.
Uh, so that's okay. So we're bringing the current, I guess, current day. Like, I didn't want to get into current day stuff, but here we are. We're on current day. So the
Oh.
Palestinian Israel conflict. Like, okay, it's okay. It's okay if you want to join a side, by all means. However, I strongly believe it should be kept outside the furry fandom. I do not like. Here's the thing, and it happened the same thing with Ukraine, Russia. A lot of furry artists made furry art with, furries and military gear holding up their Ukraine flag and all this stuff. And I saw that as being so ridiculous. That is insane to me. Like, that is so ridiculous. And it is bringing down the level of severity of the conflict down to like, oh, you think this is a joke. Like here's the thing,
Mhm.
guys. I to give you perspective, I am a Marine of 10 years. I am, when it comes to it, I am as serious as it gets. And my mentality is that you need to keep these things away from the furry fandom. Like, whenever I see that, it's what I'm saying. You cannot reduce the severity of these issues. These are wars. People are dying. There is bloodshed. Whenever you introduce that stuff into the furry fandom, people think you are a joke. And you need to
Mhm.
get that needs to go through people's head. It's like, if you really strongly believe about this stuff, go make an account that has a serious tone to it and stick to it. Don't
Mhm.
use your furry/anime account to try to make serious political points. That is my viewpoint on all of this.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%, because a lot of the times, a lot of these like political, what is going on with my hand? A lot of these okay. Oculus, please. Okay, there. Jeez. But yeah, a lot of these like a lot of the stuff that I was hearing coming out of like the Israeli conflict, I was hearing from accounts with anime PFPs. And I was like, "Wow, is this like real? Like is this legit news?" Like it was just silly to me. And I was like, "How can I take you seriously when you've got like some like weeaboo ass like profile picture?" And like but yeah, so it's like I definitely don't agree that there's a lot of like political and real life stuff that's like coming in to the furry fandom, and it's just like I feel like yes, there should be some sort of separation in there. And again, it's like you have people that you know post about this stuff because it's trending. Like, I need to like again with the whole algorithm.
That's fine. Keep going. Keep going.
With the whole algorithm, it's like you have to like again, it hurts the ability to make genuine friendships because it's like again, it's like you have so like for me for instance, like I love certain artists. I'm not going to name them here, but like I'll like, make little comments on their posts and stuff and all get is like a like or something like that. Or I'll reach out to an artist for a commission and like I'll be like, "Oh, like, you were super sweet. Like this whole transaction was really great. Like, I can't wait to do business again with you soon." And then like that's it. Like that nothing really else comes from it. And it's like DeviantArt and like the old internet at the time, like I'm not even, just saying DeviantArt. I'm also saying like forums, like Neopets forums, any other website that was around at the time. Like people were there to make, connections, and I just feel like that doesn't really exist anymore. And you have all these like turbocharged like political views, and like you have, like I said, small businesses and like I said, it's great that you were able to you were able to make art into your living, but it's like you should also be able to make connections. You should also be able to make, new friends. I mean, if you don't want to make new friends, that's fine, but it's just like it it just this whole
And here's the thing.
timeline right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is, you cannot tell me that it's impossible to separate the two, because I've seen plenty of artists who literally only use their art to hold themselves up in the algorithm without having
Right.
to politicize. Without having to politicize, they only use their art. So you cannot tell me that it's impossible.
Right.
You are literally taking the easy way by hitchhiking the whole political algorithm traction.
Mhm.
That to me looks like the easy way. You are not, you are not holding yourself up by your art alone.
Right.
And that's the thing, and this is the sad part, and this is, is that some of the artists that I see it from, they really could. They really don't have to make these opinions. They don't have to make these statements. Like their art alone is like fantastic. Like it's really good.
Mhm.
So I don't know where this idea that they have to like I, but you see it on clockwork, because that's the mentality now. It's like, oh, I need to post. I need to post every single hour. Like this is my job. I need to post every single hour to maintain my account active. Like I don't have art every single hour because my art takes like 12 hours to make. So instead of making like small doodles that take like 10, 15 minutes, because like I see that too. I see some artists, like instead of like posting like just opinions and statements, they'll make memes. They will literally make a fucking doodle and slap it as their like activity refresh post. And
Yeah.
I think that's more honorable. Like I don't mind the artists that just slap fucking meme posts
Mhm.
like in between their big pieces.
Yeah.
But what I don't like, and going forward, for me personally, what I'm going to start doing is, unfortunately, I'm going to start weeding out people that fill in their in between. Like their filler is all political stuff,
Yeah.
because that's part of what's causing like all this mental instability and all this mental stress for everybody, not just for me. Not just for me. I'm not saying I'm mentally unstable. I'm saying across the board, because it causes doom scrolling. Because half the time when I switch over to the For You page, it's literally all text. It's literally all text. I'm not even seeing art anymore.
Mhm.
And I think that's insane. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So EB joined back in. So EB's back with us. And so how do you feel, EB? How do you feel about the conversation? I think you could hear us the whole time.
I could hear you the whole time. So
Yeah.
I'm in desktop mode now. Battery died.
Yeah,
So
that's
lovely.
fine. Perfectly fine. You're okay.
It's really funny that you guys mentioned the term 2010, because I was already out of school at that point. And I was already seeing the politics on Facebook. I was getting into it, but that was also when the boomers were just barely creeping into Facebook. You were starting to see some of your relatives and extended family show up, along with people who didn't get in through college emails. Um, and so things were very different compared to other stuff. Twitter, I barely touched back then because it was kind of dead, kind of pointless, super basic. Even compared how basic it is now, it was more basic.
Oh yeah, I remember Twitter
Yeah.
starting out as literally the 120 character. Was it 120 or was it
It was
60?
something like that. You couldn't reply. There were no threads.
Yeah, it was
To,
literally
Yeah.
just a tweet, just text, like straight
no, I
up
don't think
only
any
text.
DMs. To at someone, you had to actually start the tweet with their name and the attribute sign. That's why the period in front of that started. So it wouldn't just be like a DM to them. It was a basic as hell site. I thought it was kind of terrible in a different way than it is now. Um, Now I would compare it to what Facebook has become, possibly even worse though, because it has more anonymity to it. It's just become that failed experiment of we've crammed everyone together and expect them to get along and this to go well. There's no topics, there's no guardrails, there's other than like we might occasionally scold you for, telling someone to off themselves. We might ban that account for it, but you'll probably make another and we'll pretend we didn't notice. It's a failed experiment. People do not get along. You cannot cram people and their like childhood best friends' parents and their old high school classmates and their middle school classmate that moved away and their college classmate and coworker from 3 jobs ago. You can't cram all those people together. No topics, no guardrails. People are consuming whatever they want. Nothing is fact checked. When it is, they claim that they're being oppressed and other bullshit. It's
Yeah.
it's a failed experiment. The whole reason some of those things in the past worked where you had guardrails on it, and it also wasn't a meme to go in and troll as much. People still trolled. They were assholes. It wasn't funny, except to them. But now people will go and do it with a political charge to it to then try and screen cap it and share it elsewhere. Um, so that garbage is happening. It's honestly a lack. It's too many people together, too many age groups together, wanting different things. And then these platforms with their current algorithms, the ones they've been using for years, shoving crap down your throat that you didn't ask for, and basically manipulating, like how Meta got busted pushing posts that got a lot of angry reacts over other posts. Because all they care about is keeping you on the site. And that's why you've described getting artists feeling like they have to post constantly, even if they have nothing to share. They have to stay viable,
And they
which is
they
funny.
they like yeah, that's the thing. They don't just post random shit. It's always stuff that is going to get traction, and that stuff is typically aggressive.
And it has to get traction
Yeah.
because otherwise they get buried. And that's part of the issue of those algorithms. It's just constant posting of nonsense. That's why you go to Twitter and you will see someone post the word pause and get thousands of likes because that keeps them boosted. You see them do it on Blue Sky, they might get a like. No one notices because no one cares. And actually, Frosty, the reason you haven't seen politics on there is who you're because you're not following those people and you're not in those feeds. And that's a
Mhm.
good thing. Keep it that way if you don't want it. That's how these sites need to operate. And honestly, what
Yeah.
I would advocate for is honestly, I don't respect people being married to a site at this point. Leave them or downgrade your amount of interaction on them, spread yourself across them because what's going to have to happen, the only solution I see is people being willing to move their activity to different places. If one's going to push an algorithm that pushes harmful things, then downgrade your usage of it. It's going to hurt them. Even if
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
running off of seed money, eventually that seed money runs out and someone's saying, why aren't you making a fucking profit? And
yeah,
eventually things get real awkward.
yeah. Because
Mhm.
you just touched on something like it's almost corporate entities solidifying, right? Because back in 2008, a lot of these companies were a lot smaller. Like you think of a good example, right? You think about places like Netflix, how Netflix went from fucking physical discs to like the premier streaming source today.
They are
And
getting Monday Night Raw starting 2025. That is unprecedented.
Yes, and it's one of these things. It's like a lot of these companies are becoming. It's almost like that whole thing where you hear it's like, oh, it's too big to fail. Like a lot of these companies are just like setting themselves in stone, and that's almost like bad for the internet. Like it's almost bad for like creativity. It's like at this
Mhm.
point, like we've already experienced like what, like 5 apps that tried to dethrone Twitter, and it's not fucking happening.
Yeah.
I partially blame the users, people not being willing to try different things. If you're sick of Twitter, try some time on Blue Sky, try Instagram. You might not get thousands of interactions, but it's also not bot driven on some of these platforms. And, you actually will be able to hear back from people. I think a lot of people have muted Twitter notifications just from little comments that I've heard here and there because there's too much. It's a noisy
Oh yeah,
platform.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's
You
so
go to somewhere
stupid.
like
And
Blue Sky.
here's another thing I want to say, and about the whole, it's too noisy, right? You see
Yes.
these accounts, you see these fucking accounts that have like they're following like 5,000 people. It's like you cannot tell me that you even see anything meaningful at that point. There's no way. There's no way you see anything meaningful when you follow 5,000 people.
Depending who you follow,
Yeah.
you won't see anything meaningful anyway, because people've learned to abuse the algorithm. So it can be the silly, stupid stuff that maybe they like, but if you threw enough casual likes at it or other people did, you now get that dominated in your feed. Even the stupid hourly animal bots
Yeah.
dominate it. You will
Yeah.
get a dozen of those posts in a row because they got enough likes. Whereas that's why I'm appreciating Blue Sky in its current state without using algorithm of you can see those, you can give it a like. It's not getting shoved in everyone's feed because of that. You have to consciously share it. And that's not to
Yeah.
say Blue Sky will forever be the best choice, but I'm liking it better than Twitter. It's not Facebook, which has been ruined. And I was on Facebook in summer of '05, stayed on it until sometime around 2021-ish. Still have an account. My Wordle dump now. People know I'm alive and don't bug me to see like, you live? Yes. You have anything to say? No. Okay. No, really
Yeah.
though. That site's gone to hell. Twitter apparently has always been pretty trash from what I've seen.
Right.
If you want those communities though you described, honestly, it is back to the town square is a failed approach. You need to have those communities. You need to splinter off a little bit and be on these different sites or be in groups on them, be in Discord servers. Because what the 14 and 16-year-old furries want isn't necessarily the same as what the 25 to 35s want.
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely
not.
not.
And
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
cuz
shouldn't be
that's a
pretending we're the
big
same thing.
that's a big reason a lot of 30-year-olds are quitting is they're starting to realize that there's a lot of outgrowing going on. Like,
Mhm.
we're unable to hold, I guess, rational sanity of an adult. It's like, that's a thing. It's the algorithm promotes acting like a fucking idiot. And I will say that because this is, Wolf Radio is supposed to be for adults. But I see a lot of these streamers like, ooh, woo, look at my stockings, look at my thigh highs, cock and balls, and it's like, what fucking reasonable adult is acting that way?
Yeah.
And we have these streamers that are literally like 28 acting that way. Like, what? Like, I fucking hate that the algorithm promotes this stuff.
It's
Yeah.
not just Twitter, that's TikTok and YouTube and all the ones that honestly, when they hit that big status, I pretty quickly grow to hate them because they all turn into the same trash.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I'm not a sexual prude. Like, I love sex. I love fucking. I love fucking getting off. But I don't like the way the intertwining of the porn industry with the algorithm and the youth of today has gotten, because it's gotten so fucking insane. Like I said, I'm not a Puritan. I'm not definitely not a Puritan, but it's almost like this stuff is just going too far.
Mhm.
Well, it's another issue of the lack of guardrails on the site because we have 13-year-olds on the site with people up to, you could be a fucking 100 years old on that site. It doesn't mesh. And I go on somewhere like Blue Sky, and unfortunately, it still allows down to 13. But the adults on there, we post our lewds because we've had sex. We don't need to be like, ooh, cock and balls. It's like, do you want to see them? I've had sex. You've had sex. We know what they look like. It's not that big a deal to show them to each other versus someone who is just discovering their sexuality, especially if they're not fully hetero. And, for a lot of people, this is a discovering of it. That's what I've noticed with furry. A lot of people, that's their first introduction to all that stuff. So yeah, there is a lot of like self-discovery in the teehee and oh my God, this is neat. And then there's us adults who's like, I've had sex. No, don't ask me to count how many times. Why would I keep track?
I keep
Like,
track.
well,
Hi,
yes,
hi
you keep
guys,
track.
hi
The
guys.
rest
I
of us
keep
don't.
track.
So it's not
Yeah.
new. It's, so we're looking for very different things. And at the same time, also these sites, some of them not using algorithms, you don't have a 14-year-old getting pissed off that they were shown someone's lewd because they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think the solution really
Yeah,
is for people to take some damn initiative,
we
start
need
exploring other
separation.
sites. Yes,
Mhm.
Separation.
start
Yeah.
working on because these sites aren't they're going to do what's profitable. And I hate saying it, but as long as they exist in certain economies, some of these heads of these companies have a fiduciary duty to do whatever brings the most money. And I think it's wrong, but at the same time, they kind of those legal obligations get weird and complicated fast. So
Mhm.
we need to just take it in our own hands and be willing to say, look, I'm leaving Twitter, or you're going to get the scraps. I'm going to cross post, but it's going to be once every 10 posts on Twitter. And you're going to see more on Blue Sky or Instagram, or if you're
And
out of
yeah,
your mind, Threads.
that's one of Threads.
I hear
Threads
that's been
was
taken over
relevant
by
for
some
like 3 weeks.
I hear it's popular with some less fun groups. I'm not going to go into that.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's fun. That's
Ooh,
actually funny because I was considering, because I was going back to Instagram and I was like, it's like, do you want to join Threads? And I was like, oh, I totally forgot about Threads.
you
So I
want to
don't know.
like lean this way?
Oh,
Lean
sorry, I'm
There you
like
go.
leaning on. Hi.
Perfect. Awesome. But yeah, so the biggest thing holding me back from Blue Sky, like, is the lack of video. Like, they don't have video support, so that's holding me back. So
I heard they
that's
just
the thing.
added GIF support, right?
Through Tenor, I think it is. But
Oh.
honestly, just post them to YouTube or something, share the links. People need to be willing to cross post their stuff anyway.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just posted this episode on Blue Sky and I was like, "Huh. Like I should really and then again I keep saying it, but like I just need to just go on there and tailor my feed because right now it's just all the people I follow and I have like a couple people that I follow that post like every 5 minutes, so my feed is only like their stuff and I'm like, I
Also,
want to see more."
check out the actual feeds. I mean, so as apparently their team does listen to feedback more, at least for now. I'm a little
Hmm.
worried when that probably seed money runs out because they're not pushing monetization of any sort. And that's the classic tech approach that we've all seen develop from, the early aughts till now, go from, oh, this is cool to, oh my God, what are you trying to sell, scrape for me to sell? And
Yeah.
what AI
Yeah.
generator is it going to wind up in next?
Mhm.
So
Well, that was the
worried
other
about that.
thing. That was the other
Go.
thing, Nitro, that you mentioned with the AI. Like, it is pretty scary, like how AI has like just completely, almost like, now I wouldn't say totally taken over the internet, but it's getting
Oh, it's
there.
coming. It's coming. You
And
know that story with the Spanish OnlyFans girl that they created, and it's successful. So
oh,
guys, AI is even coming for booty pics. So those booty pics may not even be a real booty.
not the fake booty pics.
They're already enjoying the VR stuff. I don't think they care.
Yeah. But yeah, it makes it hard because like half of my unread Twitter messages are all bots and it's like they're all like I'm so hesitant now to like click on any of them because I'm like there's this here I'll go on right now. There's one chick who it almost looks like a real person and I'm like, "Huh, maybe they just genuinely want to start like a friendship or something." And I was like, "Wait, no, they're probably a bot."
Yeah, see that.
So,
So that's one thing that I was touching on, and I want to, I guess, expand on it a little bit more. Like all this hyper defensiveness, it's literally from stuff like that. Literally stuff like that,
yeah.
like the abuse, not just in real life, but in like digital format, like where somebody's like taking advantage of you all the way up to getting scammed.
Mhm.
Um, like it sucks. Like it sucks. I'll admit to it. I got scammed this year by some an impersonator, like an artist impersonator, and I got scammed even though I am fantastic at weeding people out. I literally weed people out, but I took a chance with this person, and next thing I know, I'm getting a fucking message from the system administrator saying, "Hey, we've discovered this account to be an impersonator. You got scammed. Can you make contact with your bank?" And I was like, "Okay, well, here we go. We got to try to get my money back."
Mhm.
And shit like that sucks because now I'm extra wary of people. Like, if they're even slightly fishy, I don't want anything to do with them. And it just creates this atmosphere of hyper defensiveness, and it's across the board. And
Yeah.
it's even worse for people who, okay, guys, you need to understand that there's different personalities and they're tied to biology. And there's certain people that are hyper anxious and hyper defensive without any of this stuff. And now you add these things and it's like a nightmare for them. So they don't even want to fucking talk to you, period. Like, and I've come across a lot of people that are like, actually, I've been hurt by a lot of people before, so I can't trust you. And I'm like, okay then.
Mhm.
So
And that
you
really sucks, yeah.
you might start seeing in the next few years. It depends if a company comes up with the service, but I think it was J Costumes shared it a while back, months back, and I think Mayfew might have even retweeted it. If not them, it's probably another big make fursuit maker. But essentially, um, the idea of escrow services starting being used for big purchases like fursuits. And honestly, I think because the internet back in the day was not as legitimized for small businesses, it wasn't as viable. There weren't as many easy, cheap services for you to use as a business to run those online. And now we've grown to everyone's trying to start them, even if their skill level's not there for it. It's going to be, I think, as soon as someone starts an escrow service for that stuff for small purchases, I think it's going to catch on because it needs to. And that's part of where if you're wondering dead internet, I think it's more evolved internet and asking where does it need to go? Because you have people who used to think using the internet was some weird nerdy behavior or something they just didn't get. They don't do that computer stuff and they live on the internet. You have boomers who acted like that, who live on the internet. They will literally post on Facebook where they just saw on cable news. And it's like, you didn't even post an article. You're like paraphrasing it. These
Yeah.
Yeah.
people are on the internet 24. If they're not asleep, they basically are ready to slap something on the internet. So it has
Mhm.
to evolve. And you got mentioned getting scammed. I think that's what's going to have to happen. If someone isn't willing to use those, then you don't give them business. And that's the only way to start getting this defensiveness down is to have proper guardrails, proper sharding of communities so you don't have everyone stepping on each other with bullshit they don't want to see. It's all a
Yeah,
little intertwined there.
and
Yeah.
you're mentioning people slapping shit on the internet that has little to no meaning, right? And that's another part of the dead internet is oversaturation of information and useless information. Like every year, there's just so much more to look through, so much more, and it's like even Google is starting to lose coherence. Like I will ask a fucking technical question and there is so much shit of people like replying with useless replies or like not actually answering the question that it makes it so difficult to find the real answer. And it's happening across the board. It's happening across the board. Like anything you look up, somebody has had to make some sort of stupid statement that's completely unrelated, but it's tagged, and the search engine will find it and think that it's for you. And it's like, this has nothing to do with what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
That's whatever they're using to power, because Google, from what I understand, in all the search engines, it has been an ongoing battle to deal with weeding out garbage and stuff that's abusing the approaches for years. The OG one was white text on the white background. When they caught that, your site was banhammered from results. And it's grown ever since then. Um, always just, and it's probably worse now. I hear about the AI stuff making it worse.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I
Mhm.
okay, we don't wanna get into race politics, we don't wanna get into that stuff, but Google recently got caught in the last couple months with the AI Gemini thing. I think that's what it's called,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google Gemini, and it was people were asking it, like, stupid scenarios, like, "Show me German soldiers during the Nazi regime," and it's like, It was completely changing the races. It did not want to show German soldiers. Like, it was
Hmm.
completely generating shit that was completely historically like fantasy.
Is this
Historically
supposed
inaccurate.
is it this a flow with Gemini, or is this it trying to be like avoid stuff that could be too
It was
graphic because safe search?
well, it was gated. It was programmed to be gated, and that was a big problem because it was changing a lot of historical facts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not good.
Like
Yeah,
See,
that's
the
interesting.
the team of programmers gated it to specifically only generate very different from reality outputs.
Yeah, that's almost scary because now at that point, like you're gonna have, I would say the next generation of people, like using AI to like learn about history, and that can be easily skewed and just misrepresented.
so I'm
So,
not sure
It,
when you were in school, but when I was, it was very tricky to like you tried to stick to specific sites for stuff because there
mhm,
weren't as many like that could be useful, but I'm assuming now it's just still a lot of trash sites, and that's honestly what's going to have to stick to is these authorities on information for encyclopedias and stuff have to just uphold it, and teachers are going to have to hold people to it. And
yeah,
finding it on Google has never been a, well, that doesn't make it factual or correct. You found it on the internet. You didn't
yeah,
yeah.
get it from Encarta or Oxford or whatever, is doing is an authority on these subjects. You didn't go
Yeah,
through the
because
Smithsonian.
you cannot like a lot of people now, from what I understand, are using like Chat GPT and shit to quickly gather information about subjects, and it's like you can't even trust that. Like you can't fucking trust it.
yeah. Yeah, no, back when I was in school, like they would specifically tell us like, "Oh, like if you use anything from Wikipedia, it's not real. Like it's not true. Like it's not useful for your,
You go down to the
assignments or whatever."
sources, get
Yeah,
it from the
yeah.
sources, see if they say the same thing, follow that. If they're, if it, quote the Smithsonian, we'll go read it on the Smithsonian site then and quote that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to tell you the truth about this here is most people don't want to go fucking read sources. So,
Yeah.
that's the big problem here is that people are taking shit from ChatGPT, whatever comes up at the top of the Google search, and they're just fucking going with it. They're just going with it. And oh, geez, controversial shit, right?
So
So that was one of the things I Google searched are
mhm.
increasing uh death by birth. Like what was it? Deaths by birth in
Oh,
women. What was the
the
actual search term?
maternity. Oh shoot, what was it? It was like a percentage of childbirths or like
Yeah,
deaths from
childbirth deaths.
childbirthing. Yeah.
That's from childbirthing. Okay. So yeah, so you go through the first page of Google searches and it's literally one after another contradictory to each other. Like the first one was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, more mothers in the United States are dying more than ever." And then the next one it's like, "Oh, mothers in the United States are doing fine." And then the next one it's like, "It's the end of the world. We're fucking dead." And then the next one is, "It's all peachy in paradise. More kids are surviving than ever before." And
Yeah.
it's like one after the other. I'm like, what am I looking at here? So
so fu-
I finally found the link from NIH, the National Institute of Health, and I looked through that and I looked at their studies and I was actually looking at the numbers and it's like, oh, that's why. So they're including women over 40 years old because
Mhm.
the percentage of women who die during childbirth shoots up like crazy. It's like 5-6 times more for women over 40 years old.
oh, so that's like when we say people are living longer during certain periods, but we find out the stats from a certain century included like infant deaths, and those were much, much higher at a
Yeah.
century. So it skews the crap out of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so a lot of people are bunching those in, women that are having over 40, and they're like immediately going to, oh, it's doomsday, we're going to die. Ah. And it's
Yeah, and
like
it's like no shit, like cuz the percentage rate was like how much? It was like 50, no, not 50. It was like 30 or 40% chance of like death if you're over age 40 and you had a kid. Whereas like
Yeah,
18 to like
if you were
yeah,
18, it was like 10%, like 8 to
right.
10%.
So
Yeah.
something to consider. You mentioned earlier tech and just companies being too big to fail. And honestly, it goes back to my people need to be willing to take some initiative themselves. Everyone wants to cause change. I've been seeing a push to switch search engines because of the AI powering Google searches and just the false results and stuff being pushed that shouldn't. And a lot of people I'm hearing this has been said for years, switch to DuckDuckGo. And I can't speak for it personally, but I'm debating switching or trying it out because yeah, I think at this point we need to all start saying like, I'm sick of this shit instead of just bitching about it. Try something else. Try one, two, three other things. See what you like. Because
Yeah, because
that's like sticking with it.
at
Go
this
ahead.
point, I can't even trust Google. Like, if I have like a medical
Yeah.
question, I need to go to NIH or CDC.
Mhm.
That's what I
Like,
try to anyway. Even if I
I
go
can't
to
Google.
Google it, I
Yeah,
I try and land on Mayo Clinic or NIH or something that's actually a real source because WebMD for years has always been kind of touchy. Like it might help, but usually I still wind up at like Mayo Clinic or something because you still get that like worst case scenario and you find out no, you don't have something that's gonna be bad if you don't go to the ER. Because that
Yeah.
ER trip's gonna be $1,500 even with insurance
yeah,
saying no,
and
don't.
that's a meme. Like, it's the whole, oh, I went to WebMD and it said I had cancer.
Yeah, that's been a meme since like early YouTube days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the old
Which
ancient archaic meme.
So, dead internet, I have a question for you on here. How do you feel about like we talk about people posting too much? What about the right for things to be forgotten? Like all these sites are super preservationist, almost to a flaw where you can't escape something you might have said at 14 years old, and people they don't only not want to abandon a platform, they don't want to abandon an account. So people are literally getting stuff dug up on them from 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I don't care what age you're probably not that same person because that's another
Right.
decade of life experience.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Absolutely, and it would definitely help people with second chances, like socially, like in the social sphere. Like, obviously, if you murdered somebody, like that should stick with you. But that is an issue of like public records, like legal
Yeah.
public records. When it comes to like social shit, like, oh, I said something fucking stupid, like I don't know, something politically charged that I was completely wrong on when I was like 17. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be 27 and be getting canceled for it. Definitely not. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. It's like every 2 weeks, right? Like, and this is from the Twitter, like my Twitter viewpoint is like every 3 to 4 days, people just completely fucking forget. It's completely just gone.
Goldfish.
Yeah.
And
Well, because everyone's attention span is so fucking tiny now.
yeah, so it's almost like yes and no. But like when it comes to like cancellations, yeah, there are people that will go all the way back to get those posts from 10 years ago and show them to the world. But the truth of the matter of fact is that even in that situations, people forget in like three days.
It's
Yeah.
Unless they keep spinning it, keep spinning it, keep spinning it.
it's funny because I saw a Reddit post probably not too long back, someone admitting like they had an account. I don't know if it was on Epic or some other site that they had lost like years ago, and it was because of whatever they were sharing on this platform. So it might not have been an Epic thing. They used to post stupid things like they posted some stuff with the swastika because they admit they were a dumb kid. They thought they were being edgy and funny, and they know now no, they were being a moron. But yeah, that's you can imagine if that stuff had been dug up, it's like they're not that person anymore. They know what's wrong about that stuff and those kind of jokes now. And I just think
Oh,
about that like
okay,
it's
but
perfect.
even then, let's go theoretical here. Let's
Mhm.
theoretical, right? Let's say this person actually did join some stupid neo-Nazi Hitler youth fucking group, right?
Yeah.
And they were super big into it for like 2 years, like, and then quit, and then saw the wrong other ways. Like, should that person be allowed a second chance? or are we just gonna be hyper defensive and just always think, "Oh, hey, this guy did fucking Hitler Youth neo-Nazis, like, he's never gonna be a good person."
I 100% think we should give him a second chance because like you see all these cancellations, right, of people and like oh, like they used to think this way or they're a zoophile or whatever. It's just like, okay, but they're not now. Like
And
why are you bringing up this stuff from the past and not allowing them a second chance? Because now you're pushing them all the way out to the point where they're either gonna kill themselves or they're gonna fucking hurt someone else. Like, like the one guy recently that just got canceled. Oh my God, what was his name? Uh, Starts with a D. The he sexually assaulted supposedly.
Doppio,
Doppio, yeah. He assaulted like
Doppio.
30 people and like I get it was allegations and oh my God, it's 30 people. But you think and you look and it's like what's going to happen to him? Is he going to is was our goal as a community to push him out to the limits of okay, we want him to kill himself, we want him to like leave and like leave us alone. It's just like why is that healthy? Like how is that going to solve anything? Like
It's not healthy.
it's right, and it's like, I get he probably isn't a good person. I don't know him personally, but, yes, I get that 30 people came out and said something bad about him, but it's just like, how can we, like, fix that? Like
If they got professional help and went through everything, we're talking legit, qualified, certified, you know,
yeah,
psychologists and whatnot. Like, at what point do you? It's almost like people just want someone to kill themselves. It's because it's like those memes about people who have raped or molested someone they just expect them to die, be murdered. They want a lynch mob, and it's like, what does this say
right.
about you? Especially a lot of these people who will clutch onto religious pearls and everything about forgiveness and everything, and then they go act like that. It's like you don't believe in. You're talking on both sides of your ass. You don't believe in forgiveness and redemption and people changing. Clearly,
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and I
and
think that's
okay,
just, like, really sad.
and going back to this whole, I guess forgiveness and moving on, it's like, you have a lot of people who like say they're not that young, they're like 25, right? Um, who are still vulnerable and, I guess malleable. I don't wanna say gullible, but malleable, to a certain ideologies, whatever that may be. But you have a lot of people, and I've heard it a lot where it's like, I thought this group was a certain way and that they cared about me and that they were, looking out for my well-being. But then it turns out that they were actually horrible and were super destructive to society.
you hear that about the neo-Nazi stuff about when teens like 13, 14 are getting lured into this shit, which it goes back to my we shouldn't have everyone on every site argument. And then they eventually find out that stuff, but how many years do they spend and how much of a digital paper trail is there of their time in there that they need to escape and they probably want to forget it. They want to eternal sunshine that shit, but they can't. And
Right.
who's waiting in
Yeah.
the shadows to go dig that up because this person is running a successful Discord server and is a streamer or some other thing, and now they're jealous.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually crazy because I was going through I forgot whose account. There's someone on Twitter that I was kinda, like, going through, and just out of curiosity, I was searching for, like I was like I don't remember what it was, but I was looking for something and the search results on their profile pulled up posts from like when they had first joined. And I was like, "Oh, like I went to like my own personal account that I made back in 2009 and I was searching up little keywords like oh, school or like wolf or something." And yeah, Twitter saves every post and it's like holy crap. Like yeah, if the wrong person gets mad at you, like they're able to go back and pull up all the dirt on you or all the weird edgy things you used to say, and it's just, like, taken out of context, you
And
know?
it's on
And
a silver platter for them.
Right,
You've
yeah.
left it for them.
Mhm.
and that's the thing. It's like, and the problem is, it's not just even Twitter. Blah, blah, blah. It's not even just Twitter keeping track, right? You have all these external third party websites that, oh, like I
Wayback
understand.
Machine.
That's one of them.
Way
I,
back
I I
machine, yeah.
understand that we need to hold people accountable, but if something gets deleted in good faith, like You should just let it go. But a lot of people just do not fucking let it go.
Mhm. Yeah.
Good God. So a video I sometimes reference from like my sophomore year of college, my roommate took when I was slap happy or something, and it was just like, I think mouthing the words to a song. It's still on YouTube. It says 17 years ago. So
Holy
yeah,
shit.
where
Alright, post it
things
in the
still
chat.
disappear. Hell no.
I wanna see
It
that
was
shit.
weird
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'd walk into like dining hall and someone would recognize me, and I just like would walk away because I was a lot more introverted back then. It was just weird, but it's like that many years later, it's still there.
Yeah.
Why? Why Alphabet is that still on your fucking site? They don't delete shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you would have to go and, what's it called? Delete it yourself or
And
something,
I
I
didn't
don't know.
upload it, so I would have to probably go through some process.
Oh,
It's not worth it. It's kind of funny to me that it's there because it's not like it's incriminating. It's just weird. It's like
yeah.
seeing stuff from when you first joined Facebook and you've been on there for so long. It's like, oh yeah, I remember living through this era of online discourse and news, and then experts finally weighed in, and everyone realized, okay, these people talking about this are nuts, but those people have been going for another 10 years, and you moved on.
Yeah. Yep.
The whole dead internet thing, I would say, it's not dead. It's evolving. It will keep evolving, and people are expecting from it what they had in their childhoods and other times, and it's not that. The mere existence of that supercomputer in your pocket has changed it. And we have to be willing to be the change we want from it because companies are have always on the internet done whatever brings them money. And they will continue to until the law prohibits it. And then some are still going to try and circumvent it. Because
Okay,
some are too big to fail.
so
Yeah.
I should clarify. I'm not stating that the internet is dead right now. I'm just saying that it's heading in a direction where it can be.
Maybe not dead, but, like, stale internet,
It's
like,
kind of like a
'cause
forest fire.
yeah, like, 'cause like I said, I mean, everything's starting to become inorganic and, like, not authentic and not especially with the bot infiltration, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's definitely a different internet, you know?
I suspect too, there's at least me being in tech to a degree, like I kind of am sick of some of the whole open API thing, and I'm still seeing that push with the Fediverse, but I do get the impression people, when Blue Sky asks for feedback, they're pushing back against a lot of that. And I think we might see maybe the pendulum swing a little bit different as just the internet isn't what I'm thinking now. It's like a forest fire state. If stuff's burning down for it to regrow. Like lessons are going to have to be learned and the users are going to have to drive it. And we're going to have to be willing to walk away from family and old supposed friends or parts of our communities that aren't going to help it regrow. They're going to just keep
Mhm.
burning it down and say, look, this shit didn't work. I'm going over here now. You can't come with.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
to do that, you have to sacrifice a lot of personal businesses that shouldn't exist.
I mean, sometimes you do have to walk away. Sometimes those relationships become toxic. And sometimes people will change when they move to a new site because the environment is different. It's like going from a high stress environment to one more relaxed. Like when you take a dog out of, say, a shelter that's full of barking dogs, they were high strung or more aggressive, and suddenly they just calm the fuck down because suddenly there's quiet, there's calm. They're maybe the only animal there.
And so you're saying
Yeah.
it's environmental.
Some of it might be. I mean, look at what
Yeah,
those
some
sites
of it is.
push.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, you spin people up and get them into mob mentality. People will do really insane shit because they feel like they're in a group, their safety in group, and they just go off the fucking wall.
They
They're
can't
almost
catch
pushed
all of
into it.
us.
Well, how much of it is it on Twitter when people say you need to unfollow this person? They follower police, and then people be like, I don't pay attention to everyone I'm following. I forget who I'm following.
Oh, my
Yeah.
favorite is like, "Guys, I have 10 mutuals that follow this pedo," and I'm like, "What? Okay." Like, I love how you're policing other people and who they follow. It's like
So around the holidays and for I don't know, I think the first few months this year, I just didn't even use social media at all because the amount of just online gaming and Discord and stuff, I just stopped. I had my fix.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Mhm.
that's the thing. People do change over time, right? Like during the first year, like let's say you add somebody and for like 6 months they like you can't see their personal life, right? But they're having a really good time with their job, they're having a good time with their relationships. But then behind the scenes of this person you're following, let's say their parents died or they got fired from their job, and all of a sudden they're just thrown into this fucking pit of despair, and they could completely change as a person. But you're still following them from 6 months ago, and you have no clue that any of this stuff is going on behind the scenes. Because there's been times where I've had to like reach out to you, Evie, and be like, "Hey, why are you following this person? They're like doing some really crazy shit right now." Like there was one where this person started like attacking Frosty for no good reason, and I fucking like or started attacking me for no good reason, and I like told Frosty like, "Hey, this is one of yours. This is your fucking person. Like,
Yeah,
what are they doing?"
and then
And then
I was like, "Who?"
you were following him too, Evie. So this person's like attacking me, and then is following Frosty, and I guess they don't have any perspective of like connections between people. Like, they didn't understand that I was in
They
a
can't read a
relationship.
bio.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
weren't they didn't understand I was in a relationship with Frosty. So, they just went off the walls on me, and I was like, "Okay, like, you just need to block this person across the board because they're fucking nuts."
Well, the best part of that was when I went to go look at their profile, I was like, "Why did I even follow them in the first place?" Like, I was going through and I was like, A, I haven't seen most of their posts because algorithm, and B, it's just like they're not like anything, they're not contributing anything positive to my feed. So I think I either blocked them or just like unfollowed them because I was like, I don't even remember why I followed them in the first place.
Whenever you ask me though, I usually am like, I don't fucking care about Twitter. I mean, to me at this point, if all the servers just melted, I'd be like, sweet, it needed to go. But
Yeah.
I've kind of shunned the internet preservationist thing. I mean, I think there is important stuff to preserve, but we've taken it to an extreme. And I don't know, Twitter fucking shut down one Thursday. For me, who the hell cares? I mean, there's businesses that would suffer, but I've told people stop relying on one private company for your stuff.
Yeah, yeah, in all honesty, like, the truth of it is that I probably do feel the same way. Like, yeah, I understand that a lot of people would suffer and, a lot of communications would get cut, but it's like, I do think Twitter is doing more harm than good.
Get in
Yeah.
contact with people you care about on multiple platforms. I have people from my first venture in furry. I still wonder, hey, wonder what's going on with them. I've tried to find them on things, but nope. And they may not be on
And
Twitter. They may have changed it. I don't know. They could be dead.
and
Yeah.
here yeah, here's the thing, here's a problem for me. It's like, and I see this as a red flag. If someone only wants to keep you on Twitter, that should be a massive red flag.
Yeah, because
Like,
that
Yeah.
means it's just an exchange on there. It's not
they
going to
they
go any
want
further.
right, they wanna make you disposable to that website.
Yeah,
I
that's
will.
why like I post my card everywhere. Like I always tell people like I logged into Bark for the first time in like a year and I was like, "Holy shit." Like I had like 200 messages on there. I was like, "Who the hell are you people?" And I went into my bio and I'm like, "Hey, if you need to get a hold of me or if you want to be friends, like hit me up on Telegram, hit me up on Twitter." Like I'm more active on these other platforms clearly because like you guys didn't hear back from me at all.
How much you wanna bet that if I log into Bark, I'm gonna have, like, 2 messages?
You're probably gonna have a lot, honestly.
So I'm gonna even.
I'm gonna put this avatar on there. There you go. I'll get
There
more.
you go. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw even be a hold of people, not just multiple platforms. Yeah, that includes their phone number. I keep forgetting. I have texts I think got buried under marketing and political
Oh,
messages that
yeah,
I
all that shit
periodically
has gone
Oh,
out of
remember.
yeah.
control. I
It'll
get,
be
like,
midnight
fucking
my
6
time when I
yeah, I get, like,
remember. So I'm
6
like,
politicals every day.
yeah, and then it's like when you see how late it is sometime when you remember, oh shit, so and so messaged me 4 months ago, and I kept forgetting, but I only remember like when it's super late. Like I'm not messaging them at 4 a.m. their time or something, like waking them up. So
Yeah.
then you forget the next day, and it just is a cycle. And it's been 4 months or so, and it's like, oh, I feel like a shitty friend because I haven't responded to them. Happens on Facebook Messenger, texts.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much spam from all these platforms now. And any of them, honestly, people forget they could shut down at any time. They only owe you whatever the law in your country says. So don't be
Yeah.
locked to one thing if you care about someone. And there's some people you probably, it's an acquaintance best. As you said, some people keep you locked to Twitter. Okay, yeah, that's not going to go anywhere further. And that might be all it needs to be, but that's not the case for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
YouTube need
hate.
my backup Telegram or something because I've been banhammered on Telegram by a bug before.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, I remember that. I think I have your phone number. I have a phone number anyways.
Well, the one you have is a Google Voice one because Telegram's stupid and
Wow.
ties accounts to phone numbers.
Because you're scared. Because it's a burner account because you're doing illegal things.
No, that I actually am not. I'm the one getting pissed at people in tech doing illegal things
Yeah.
or shit that
Yeah.
should be illegal because it's so clear that it's designed to cause harm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like stealing someone's credit cards and going on a shopping spree. God, that makes me so angry.
Generative
Anyway.
AI things that don't guardrail thing.
Yeah.
Or things that
Yeah.
could DDoS servers for games and other stuff. Gee, who the fuck needs that aside from security professionals?
Right.
All right. Well, I think we covered it well enough. I don't think there's
Yeah.
much I can say about the direction of the internet and how I think it's a dead internet.
Yeah.
But I mean, absolutely for sure. The internet could, have a phoenix resurrection. It could, rise from the ashes of the old internet and, come back. But the way things are right now, like I think it's too intertwined with too big to fail. Too big to fail, too much hyper politicization and
Grind
algorithm,
culture.
just algorithm sucking.
Grind
Yeah.
culture, I forgot to mention. That's what drives some of your business stuff.
Yeah, yeah. They don't ever actually act as a real person. It's all just for the business.
Yeah, they have
Mm-hmm.
something to sell or a brand to build so they can get their next job a better one than what they're at. It's always something.
Yeah.
And that's been in the works for over 10 years.
That just reminds me of this friend of mine from high school that reached out recently, and she has like a personal fitness business. And she reached out and she was like, "Hey, Frosty, like, what's up? It's been a while." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's you! It's been so long." And then
Sign up for my classes.
we were talking for like 5 minutes, and she's like, "By the way, how's your fitness journey?" And I was like, "Oh no, here we go. Here's the segue into your business, huh?" And she's like, "Well, I'm offering some like lower cost like uh." Personal fitness stuff, and we can talk over like Skype and all that." And I was like, okay, well, it was great talking to you. I can see where this conversation is headed, and goodbye. Like,
And starting a business is hard, but geez, that's not what you signed up for when you connected on Facebook or wherever.
right. Yeah, it's like,
No.
wow, I was genuinely interested in catching up with you because it's been 10 years since I last talked to you. So, and it's like, oh, okay, so you
So
just want to shove your business in my face. All right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that ties into okay, so that is just a version of what does anyone do either of you remember like Mary Kay
Yeah,
or like
Yeah.
not people
Herbal
selling, but I remembered a thing.
or Herbalife?
Avon.
Herbalife, 100%.
Avon.
Good Lord.
Okay, so these companies were they were basically built as like pyramid schemes, but the reason they weren't pyramid schemes is because they were like products to like uphold the legality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Tupperware was one of the other ones
It's
that
the
was
OG one.
Oh,
yes.
that was the OG one.
Tupperware was the one that was severely leveraging this stuff, where they would get people as agents and they would grind into their heads, like really drill into them, like, hey, make sure you get your friends, make sure you get them, make sure you get your
Tupperware
family.
parties.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
make sure
parties,
you get
yeah.
your families. And honestly, I think that was an issue, and that's what you experience there is that person being, I guess, indoctrinated into that mentality. Like, hey, make sure you reach out to people that you network with, like almost in real life too. but it's
Mhm.
like I always saw that as being so
Yeah.
inappropriate and deceitful.
They played off of the idea of empowering people and getting them extra cash. And I was just reading an article about Tupperware, not like a few couple weeks ago, and that was the thing said is as economy and family dynamics change, they don't have the stay-at-home mothers anymore to leverage on it. Needs have changed, product lines have changed, they've fallen way behind. And so all the stuff they relied on from their business approach and getting people who were willing to go reach out and could have those parties has changed. There's not that pool, plus there's a lot of competition. And
Yeah.
people's wariness of it because of all the other competition. You have Pampered Chef, Mary Kay, Avon, Tupperware, and all sorts of shit from small businesses and other things that you know are scammy to compete with. And people are sick of seeing it on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then now you have it through the internet too, because like, oh, like, oh, I'm not responsible for the actions of my brother, but his wife actually got into a lot of this like resale, repackaged stuff over the internet, and that is also kind of scummy because it's like what do they call them, like drop sellers?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot of scamming going on, a lot of
So similar vein, not scamming, but it's that more grind culture. And what I like hoping to see change in that phoenix of the internet is everything people do. It is the kind of the monetization or jobification of your hobbies, because even things
Mhm.
from making videos to streaming, it seems like everyone does it. And everything in the end, it's nice people are making some money, but how much that's driving the frequency? It's almost like I can't watch everyone's stuff. I don't have the energy for it. And I get enough stuff with big production value to watch. It's but it's everywhere. And it's almost like a guilt trip because constantly their marketing may not mean to be a guilt trip, but the amount of it and people's disappointment. And if you've ever done that stuff yourself, and Pat and I go, well, you can empathize with it. So it's almost too much. We've taken what was neat from the early YouTube and Flash days, and it's become the volume has almost just made it unattractive now.
yeah. Just to be
Yeah.
clear, guys, I'm going to give a disclaimer here. Wolf Radio operates out of my fucking wallet, and I am going like negative $15,000. So, woo! Yeah, give it up, guys, for spending money on streaming. So, if you ever even think we're doing this for cash, like I'm not. I'm literally spending cash to make this happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is clearly one of those like fixer uppers. Like you know how people buy like fucking 1970s Corvettes and it's just like a complete junker piece of trash, but they're like consistently putting money into it. It's like a money sink. This is my money sink. Like I do this and I spend money. So
It's a hobby. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be fun.
disclaimer, I am not profiting for this. Like even off Twitch, I've spent a lot of money, and I think right now we're going like we made like $10 at most,
But see,
which
you're
is
doing it at a
sad.
loss, but how many people, once they start making some money, you mentioned the phoniness, how much quickly does it turn into that? Because
Pretty
Yeah,
now it is a
quickly.
business.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
and
And that's what I was.
I want to experience it. I want to be the fake fucking asshole. I want to be that guy.
Oh my god.
But
But
also
nice
just give them
No,
a
to.
love
I'm
sense
just
thing
kidding.
and use it on them on stream. Let's just cut to that thing.
I'm just
It's a
gonna
that's a
sit here
meme
Okay.
to
going
me, but I find that funny.
fucking
But yeah, no, it's like what we were talking earlier. It's like it goes back to the inorganic like friendships, right? Like you have these streamers and they're like super popular and it's like, oh, like if you want to have even a spit of a chance of meeting me, like go on my Patreon and sign up for my top tier. Like you have access to my Discord channel and you can talk to me through there. And it's like pay $50 a month. And it's just like, holy
straight
shit,
up,
like
Isn't there like
straight
a
up
tier
it's
where you can play a
OnlyFans.
game with them once a month or something? Like they do the
yeah.
supporter Jackbox or
Yeah,
something?
straight
Yeah,
up
and it's like
OnlyFans behavior. Straight
and
up.
it's terrible. Like it's like, for me, it's like, I have, I made our Discord and it's like anybody and everybody can come on there. You don't have to be a fucking Twitch subscriber, tier 3. Like, I don't even have Patreon. And it's like, even if I was an artist and like, because I try to put myself in these artists' shoes, right? Like, even if I did have Patreon, it's like, I would, and even if in an alternate universe, even if I was a popular artist, it's like I would still give people the time of day. Like, you don't have to fucking pay me to like get me to notice you. Like, I think that's just so scummy and
And
terrible.
and here's the reality of it, right? Like let's be real, right? I want you don't fucking say names. Do not say names. Only experience. So Anthrocon. When I went to Anthrocon, there was an artist that I organized a meeting with. And okay, I'll admit it was a little awkward and it was a little pushy, but in the end we made it work and we had a great time. We had a great fucking time. But you notice what? Nobody would fucking recognize them unless they specifically knew who they were. You notice that?
Why am I having trouble thinking about who you're talking about?
Anthrocon. We spent time with them. We walked around. We went to the under the bridge rave with them.
Oh, oh
Okay, don't
yes.
say fucking names. Don't say
Yeah, I know.
fucking names.
I'm not gonna say it. But
But
okay, now it just hit me.
I am just saying you're looking at them at Twitter on fucking Twitter. They're like celebrity status, but in real life, nobody even fucking knows who they are.
No, there were some people that came up and they're like, "Oh my
How
god."
many? How many?
It was
It was
maybe
like
like
15 max. 15 max.
yeah, it was more their friends, but
That's how some people want it because they know a lot of the other stuff is not genuine.
and I was gonna say they don't really post like there are images of themselves uh on their Twitter, but it's like they don't post like how they look often. So yeah, maybe they
Well, no, okay. Understand what I'm trying to say. It's like online, you have all these people that just have like this fucking like weird internet celebrity status. But
mhm.
when it comes to like on like real life interactions, it's like, that you can finally break them out of the whole celebrity status thing.
Well, yeah, because at that point, like in real life, outside of the internet, they're just another normal person. Like like I said, on the internet, like everyone's got these inflated statuses or their Sona's accounts, like that's all that they're known by. And then it's like you meet them in real life and it's like, oh hey, you're just like a normal person. Like you're just like me, you know. But yeah. No, I do okay, I do remember now.
And then there's
There's
me where I'm like, I am nothing like you.
But yeah.
That's supposedly one of the things that some people deal with when something, whether it's their fursuit or something else, makes their account blow up, and they, I guess, becomes an issue. And why some people just completely mute all notifications is they get so inundated with people not treating them as a person, as a normal person.
Yeah.
They're this character or this suit or something else, and it's a celebrity, and they're like, they work an office job. They, might have been in a long-term relationship. They might not be. Either way, just, you take that away and it breaks down very quickly too. That's just a normal person.
Right.
They're not, a top presidential candidate. They're not a fucking supermodel. They're not, going to be on WrestleMania or the Super Bowl. They're literally like, you'd see them walking down the street, wouldn't think anything of it. Like the
Yeah.
rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the rest of us. Which not always, Evie, because I was driving locally here and I literally saw this person wearing like a schoolgirl outfit and a gas mask with ears holding a mallet. So
Oh yeah.
there are exceptions. There are exceptions in real life.
Were they going to a cosplay thing?
I have
I
Did it
no
I don't
idea what they
know.
were doing. They were walking the bike path like they were going to go murder somebody.
I was gonna say, because there's some behavior that actually can get attention. I had a high school social studies teacher who he talked about how he would like wear his pack when he would go walking, and it was like camo, and I don't know if he had other stuff that's camo, just whatever he wore walking. And he'd been stopped once, I think, by an officer, saying like, "What are you doing?" And this was not like this is like kind of a stout, chubby old man, like middle aged, probably 50s or something. Like, but still, it looks suspicious of like, why are you walking with a pack down the street that looks like you could be up to something? So walking around with a gas mask and mallet,
Yeah.
there's good attention and there's bad attention.
And
Another thing the
you
internet
know
needs to
what's
relearn.
funny? You know what's funny? I immediately, within a split second, noticed the mallet. Frosty had no clue there was a mallet there.
I was so hyper fixated on the
Quick
gas
question:
mask with ears.
real mallet or like Harley Quinn cosplay side thing?
No, it was like a rubber, like a heavy rubber mallet you would buy
Okay,
at
so yeah,
Home
that's going to
Depot.
get the cops stopping and asking you. Again, like I said, the real world does differentiate between, bad attention and good attention. That gets you
Yeah.
stop a cops talking to you.
Yeah. Like this thing was a tool, like an actual tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll just look suspicious.
I was just
I
so
was very
confused.
suspicious. I was sussed as hell.
I was so confused with the mask. Like I was so hyper fix. I was like, "What fucking gas mask has furry ears on it?" Like I swear, these fucking Therians are going way out. The fucking TikTok Therians are on a whole nother level than we ever were.
That too,
It's funny
that is
though.
getting out of control. So yeah, misinformation coming from the internet, it's out of
Yeah.
control. And I I am eventually gonna make an episode, and I guess this is giving you guys insider info on Woof Radio. There is an episode coming about classification of furries because there are different categories of furries, and
Mhm.
um a lot of people don't want to accept that, and a lot of people just want to umbrella term everybody. Like, oh, it's the fucking furries using litter boxes, the furries fucking barking and screaming and running on all fours in real life. And then you actually look at the video footage, and it's like people wearing BDSM gear and pup hoods, or it's like people leash and chain collars and acting like actual animals. It's like, okay, guys, like those are two separate things. Like one of them is like pup play BDSM people, and the other people are like Therians. Like, yes, I understand they both fall under the furry category, but they're completely different from like your standard average mass of furries.
Well, and the ones barking and stuff, that's a type of nerd. Frosty, you could probably give more insight on the people who barked and stuff. Because
Okay,
you
so
Actual child, like children.
yes,
Like I
yes,
that's yeah,
used
that
to
like
is
up
do
to
another
that.
thing.
teenage,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
another thing is a lot of people under 13, hell, even people under 16 would just randomly do stupid shit. Like I do remember being in school and people just randomly doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that
not the barking, it was the
that's just
meme of the
child.
time.
That's just child behavior. Like, and people need to
Yeah.
like understand and accept that there are things that are just child behavior. Like acting like an animal was never really seen out of the normal for children.
Be
Now,
Yeah.
if you
glad you weren't in
now like
school
now if you
when
right, right,
I just
but if you have a grown ass adult in their 20s
yeah.
wearing a pup hood and BDSM gear out in public and being on all fours and barking and howling, like in a social space unauthorized for fucking BDSM, like it's not an adult space. It's like out in the open. Like clearly we have a problem. That's a problem.
Mhm.
Like
It
I
becomes a similar discussion to the people showing up in the Playboy bunny style bikinis or the Speedos and stuff. Like, where is this appropriate?
Right.
I'm not advocating to get rid of pup hoods. I'm not advocating to get rid of kink gear. Like, of course, if you have an adult space and it allows those things, by all means go for it. Like explore yourself, explore other people. Like, but if you're at fucking Denny's and you're doing that shit, like because there was a video at a Denny's where a pup hood where literally went out and was, exhibiting theory and behaviors, and it's like, my guy, like you're at Denny's. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Unless this was a Denny's fur meat, which it probably wasn't.
Well, you would have to rent out the whole Denny's for it.
Yes.
I mean, it
Yeah.
gets into weird stuff, but that's why I always try and tie stuff back to other parts of culture or the topic because there's a lot of stuff we're used to overlooking. And some of the things, thanks to the internet, we've seen that we're not used to. And the question is, this seems weird and different, but what about these other things that got normalized a decade or two ago? And it's like,
Yeah.
should those have
Mhm.
been, or is this just not being unfair? And is it possibly unfair because it's popular with a group that might be associated with some other group people don't like say LGBT often.
Mhm. Yeah, because I remember, like, vividly, there was, like, in elementary school, like, we had recess in the middle of the day, and so, like, we'd go out, and, like, one of my things was, like, I would fucking bark like a dog because, like, I wanted so badly to be a dog, and, like but there were so many kids out there, like, with me that we were a literal zoo, like, we were just
That's what
one
kids
kid
do.
was yeah, one kid was a tiger, and he was roaring, and the other girl was, like, making pig noises or whatever, but it's just, like, just kids do that, and,
Yeah.
like, it's like, let kids be kids. And again, it goes back to the whole political thing too, because with that middle school in Utah, it's just like everything has to fucking blow up into politics and
Yes.
like, yeah,
But
but
okay, but I don't mean to get super conspiracy here, but okay, so it's okay to have kids like act as animals. It's perfectly fine if kids want to act as animals. However, you need limitations. You need to like tell them like, okay, right now is not the time. You're here to like, you know, you're here to study. You're here to read this book. Like, please stop fucking pretending you're an animal for like 2 hours. Like, please.
yeah.
So here's the thing, it's like, the thing I'm concerned about, and I need to do a lot more research about this, so, don't fucking quote me on this, don't fucking clip me. Um, I am concerned that Ethereans are pushing cult mentality onto these kids, and that is a problem because I have noticed a lot of Ethereans do have a cult mentality and they do get together and they spread I guess the good spiritualism of being Etherean. And it's like, if you're an adult, that's perfectly fine. If you're an adult, that's perfectly fine. But if you're pushing this on to kids, like, I feel like that's an issue because they are not ready to completely process a lot of these very difficult subjects that come with being part of a cult or being part of a group that takes things like very seriously, that takes things down to like a philosophy. Because you have to understand that a lot of Theorians do take this to heart. A lot of Theorians do, you know, try to spread Theorianism. And I'm not saying they have sacred text. I'm not saying that, it goes all the way that deep into religion. I'm not saying, there's a code to being Ethereum. I'm just saying that it's surfacing as a new cult now. And that's
Uh,
concerning.
so I mean, for me, I've not encountered anything that I'd have an issue with Therians on, but it goes to my thing that you've heard
Oops.
from me, both heard from me before, and it ties into the dead internet, and that we need to get more, I think, age gating on stuff, but in a way that's not tied to a system where share your ID and oops, we find out 6 months later it's been hacked, or oops,
Yeah.
the FBI or CIA was using it to track people because Senator Jackass, who hates this group, got, hold of some agent, cut a deal, and now they're tracking LGBT or Muslims or some other
Yeah.
group that, meanwhile, the Brotherhood of whatever is planning to just tried to raid some pride parade or got busted doing it or whatever, like, you know, clearly targeting things when there are literal domestic terrorist groups plotting shit. My whole thing with the gating is we need it with age. I think social media needs to be adults. Social media that is not topic gated. So things like your game facts boards, parts of Reddit, things in those styles. Yeah, I could see the 13 and up because you have a topic. The second you stop talking about Lego Fortnite or Star Wars, the mod needs to warn you, delete your post, and you can be banhammered from it.
Oh.
So a lot of these things, there's no topic to things like furry or other stuff. So when you have 13-year-olds or younger sneaking onto Twitter or being allowed to sign up for it, they're getting exposed to a whole lot of information overload, stuff that the algorithm pushes. It's cool because it gets traction. And next thing you know, there's a lot of stuff that they're
They're
already
being
struggling with.
radicalized. They're being
I don't even know if it's
radicalized.
radicalized. They're already dealing with probably a lot of that same bullshit from relatives and teachers and other stuff that society already treats as normal. I remember being in high school and junior high, and you watch some of your friends suddenly, like, you aren't super close to them, but next thing you know, when you have a class with them, you get to talk more. Suddenly they're super religious. And it's like, what the fuck happened? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, they went through a major depression spell, were suicidal, and now they're one of the most religious people in your class. Like, okay. And where did that come from? So they're already dealing with depression, pressures from relatives, clergy, whoever else knows, friends. And then, yeah, you throw on these internet celebrities that didn't necessarily sign up to be. Some of them did, but the algorithm pushed shit. And next thing you
Yeah.
know, it's too much to process. And even psychologists and I think teachers and others have said the social media is too much for them because it creates this popularity contest. They have no
It's all
restraint. They
it's
get
already too
rewarded for
much for
encouraging to
me.
eat Tide Pods. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
I can't even imagine being in school and like having this access to like imagine having TikTok when we were kids. Like I can't even no.
no,
Like
I can't even stand going there because it's mostly like high schoolers it shows me. And then next thing you know, I'm like, how long before it's the next Tide Pod or Cinnamon Challenge? Like, no, I don't need to see stupidity promoted as a good thing to do. Like, this stuff's
mhm.
dangerous. We have no
Yeah.
guidelines. They probably shouldn't be on there. The professionals who paid money to study and learn this stuff are saying this is bad for them. So, I mean, just my general take on it is it's less of I want to finger wag at people who are adults discussing it, and it's more like get the kids out of what are adult spaces. I'm gonna channel an aunt of mine, my late aunt, and it's like kids need to behave. They don't belong in these spaces. It's an adult space. And okay, and sometimes the kids aren't misbehaving, but they don't belong there. It's an adult space. Adults need to be
Yeah.
willing to say, this is for us. This is our space. That's like someone being upset a kid was in a bar and overheard some swearing or a raunchy story. It's like it's a bar. It's for
Yeah, why'd
adults.
you bring him here?
Yeah, you might have been
Yeah.
given permission to bring him. Maybe you're a server there or a bartender and you had your babysitter fell through and you were given permission. Okay, but don't get mad at the adult patrons for being adults. It's an adult space.
Yeah.
The kids can have a space. They probably need some internet spaces, but it needs to be kid spaces.
Mhm.
We've lost a lot of that tech and stuff. It just fell by the wayside. The stuff meant to guardrail you in, and some of it was never developed enough, but we need that back. And it should be easier than ever. Your kid has an iPhone or a Chromebook. Stuff could be gate kept to hell. It'd be super much easier than back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one thing I wanna clarify because, like, I could get taken out of context, specifically by the Therians. I am probably, like, a few inches away from being a Therian, but I don't think I'll ever step over. I don't think so. But what I wanna clarify is, I don't think Therians are, like, dangerous. I don't think it's dangerous in the manner where, like a radicalized terrorist group. I don't think that way. I just think that, the Therian ideology might just be just way too much for a 12-year-old. I'm not saying it's dangerous. I'm just saying that, it can cause a lot of social issues for somebody who's not independent. A 12-year-old isn't really, out of the house. They're not really out of the system. They don't really have a place to escape to. So, I just I don't think the theory and ideology should be pushed for kids. Not saying it's dangerous. I'm not saying theory and people are dangerous. I'm just saying it's too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
there's
it's
definitely a
like
lot of go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say like when I was 12, right? I was very heavily on DeviantArt and on iScribble and all these boards where you can like talk and role play, right? And it's like I would role play as Frosty or even like my other characters who were all wolves and it's like um I at the end of the day as a 12-year-old, I knew that once I logged off the computer, I'm not Frosty anymore. Like I'm back to like being who I am. And granted, Therianism wasn't really a term back then. It's definitely more of a new thing, but just as a kid, it's like, yeah, like, oh, it'd be so cool to like be a wolf, like instead of being a human. But it's like I was able to realize, like, hey, like this is who I am in the real life. Like I have to act a certain way. I am a human, so I have to do certain things like humans do. And like I can't just run around and eat from a dog bowl or like, all this stuff because that's seen as weird and like again, Therians like as adults and you choose to like participate in theory and activities, like that's fine. Like it's fine and dandy, but like yeah, I don't think kids should be like introduced to that and then like they continue on that path and
Not
they
knowing
grow
when
up
to
thinking
stop.
that right, not knowing when to like just, be like, all right, it's time to be a human. Like, like cuz you kind of have to be a human. You were born as a human, unfortunately. Sorry to burst your bubble, but it's just,
No.
Well,
it's like,
Sweet
yeah.
liberty.
so for context, Frosty, what were the tech used for the internet around when you were not like the specs, but the kinds of devices used? Just
So
like
like you talking about like phones or like
You had to
yeah,
go
like were
on
people
your
using
fucking PC. You had
yeah,
to go
so
on your PC.
right, you had to go on your PC and like I was getting around the point. So in middle school I had a Motorola Razr and like, there was no web browser on there. The first time I got onto the internet from my phone was when I had an LG Rumor Touch, and it was very bare bones. Like it was like you would tap the screen, and it wasn't a fingerprint sensor; it was pressure sensor. So you had
yeah.
to really shove your finger into the screen. And I remember coming across it had like a really bare bones like app store, I guess, because this is 2007 was the iPhone, so like there was an LG store that you could download like the most bare bones shit, and one of them was Opera web browser. And I remember feeling like the coolest kid on the block because I was like, "Oh, I got into the school Wi-Fi and I downloaded Opera browser." And I was like, "Let me go to www.facebook.com." And I was able to log into my Facebook profile in like biology class one day, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm posting from my biology class. This is so cool." And then it's like, yeah, so but even then, the pages would load for like 2 minutes and it was just like not an optimal experience. And so yeah, that was around like high school. And then it wasn't until I got like my iPod Touch in like sophomore year where like it was a more streamlined experience. You had like, you know,
Yeah.
uh not Google Chrome, but you had, Safari was a thing, so you could go onto websites there and stuff. But
That was
And
sophomore year of high school.
yeah, so
yeah,
Yeah.
and
2012-ish, 2011.
I mean that's a good point. Adding to the dead internet is like accessibility, right? Because like Frosty's saying, like she had fucking potatoes when she was a kid. It's like, and for me, coming in to the school system, we literally had fucking IBM computers where you had to do command MDOS prompts to fucking
Oh, wow.
function on the IBM computer. And
You sound like you're older than me now.
yeah, from no, well, after that, they moved over to the Apple fucking all-in-ones with the fucking see-through color shits, you know?
Yeah, we had those too.
That's probably when
And
Apple was running their program to give computers to schools.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's like, these things were fucking ass. Like they're fucking horrible, but like, they introduced us to technology, I suppose, and the internet. But the access was super limited. That's the thing. On those computers, I don't ever remember going on like the open internet.
No, because the IT people, their damn job depended on keeping you off of websites. It was a joke when I was in school. Oh, go to the
Mhm.
White House sites, whitehouse.com. Yeah, no, that was a porn site.
Oh.
And or so I've been told. I've never had any desire to go there, but yeah, we had BES. It was basically meant to block you from sites you weren't supposed to go to. Those computers
Mhm.
were locked down. In high school, I had a class on I had a few classes just on computer apps like Dreamweaver, Photoshop, Illustrator, and Flash, and we would use we'd put music on the computers like on our part of the server so we could just listen to music while we did our assignments. And IT would email the teacher one day and said, "Hey, there's illegal MP3s on server. Your students need to delete them." Funny thing is they weren't illegal. We had all ripped them from CDs we all owned. It was just
Just not
that's how
allowed in
IT
the
viewed it.
yeah.
Anything that was out of the ordinary, they put their
Uh-uh.
foot down. They weren't necessarily you know, Microsoft level IT experts, but they knew enough to say no to things.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, and I remember like cuz I did a game design class my senior year, and like the school Wi-Fi was there was definitely some serious firewalls going on because like you try to like log into Facebook on the school computer and it would instantly block you.
Yeah.
And so there was like another website. I think it was, oh, Miniclip with the like flash games and whatnot, like because the teacher would be like, all right, you're done with the assignment, like you just chill. So we try to like get in there and play games, and it's like, no, that's blocked too. So it's like, definitely, I definitely do think that like kids do need to be restricted,
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
like, well, the system can't do it anymore because like, you have all these fucking 12-year-olds running around with fucking Galaxy S23 pluses in their pocket.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's too much. There's too much going on, and parents aren't doing enough to gatekeep all these things.
It comes down to some of this needs to come. That's why I say from, well, it could be the legislators to start it, but
Yeah,
even
and
tech
and
companies, essentially, if you have a commercially sold operating system, it needs to come with a system to basically allow to work with gatekeeping certain kinds of content. My proposal was essentially your Google ID, your Apple ID, Microsoft, whatever, whatever they're all called. Essentially, all of those have some system. It could easily generate something that's just an anonymous token that gets passed through the browser, either to the browser that blocks it, or that could go to the server being pinged, and either says, yes, you can access this or not. It can be handled in a way that doesn't need to involve passing our driver's licenses or other sensitive information around. And essentially, you could be blocked out of Twitter till you're old enough, or Facebook can work in the app stores. Yeah, it needs to be simple for parents. Parents are busy, they're stressed, and some of them are a lot more tech illiterate than we want to admit.
yeah,
It needs to be
Mhm.
simple, and the people at those companies are capable, competent enough, and they have the fucking money to do this,
yeah.
and that's open enough to work.
I mean, I have a solution, but it's a lot more fucking blunt force. My solution would be to just straight up ban devices for anybody under 18.
The problem
Any
comes
any
from the lack of
any ac
payphones.
access no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. Access smart devices from anyone under 18. And there is a solution because I have seen it. However, it is not socially acceptable. But if there was legislation to ban smart devices for people under 18, then they would be forced to move to this. But there's these things called like fucking fireflies or whatever. And
I remember Fireflies.
it's literally just a fucking stick with like 6 buttons on it where you can only call your family members with the pre-programmed button.
I will say that's a little restrictive. Like at least like we should give them like, Motorola Razors, like something a little bit more functional, but
I don't
it's
know.
like
What or simple?
Like you could, I guess you could say like, "Oh, they can still have smart devices, but they have to adhere to like a fucking kids policy." Like
That's what I
yeah.
would do.
established. Like,
Like
"Hey, any smart device has to adhere to a kids policy if held by a kid."
like a kid policy. So something like I was suggesting, but also I think social media sites that don't have topic guardrails need to be 18 and up in the US and whatever the adult age is in other countries. And then ones that aren't, either like you restrict them based on that to specific boards, and they have to be a moderator. So you start talking about wanting to bang your girlfriend on, a Halo message board. No, you're getting warned, and you do it again, you're banned. Like it's that simple on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like, because you
And
gotta
we
remember
the
when you were a
also
kid, the things you liked, losing taking all that away from them is taking away the experiences you had from the next generation.
Right. That's why I'm like, yeah, like and it's tricky because it's like, yeah, I did run across sites that were obviously meant for adults, like on accident, but it's like, had I not have done that, it's like I probably wouldn't have like found the things that I liked.
yeah.
So I mean, I feel like there has to be some like little bit of exploration potential with kids, but it's like, yeah, and it's hard
It
because
shouldn't be equal to an adult's experience.
yeah, no, absolutely
Right.
not. No.
There's
Because
always
And
gonna be
now you're getting so many people coming out and you see it on Twitter literally every other day coming out. Oh, thanks for standing in front of me. Um
sorry.
Coming out on Twitter saying I was groomed by these people. Like I was literally on this website and I had a bunch of 25-year-olds, a bunch of 30-year-olds groom me as a 15-year-old.
well, and how
So
much of this is now happening on Discord
should never
servers?
be a thing. That should never be
Yeah,
a thing.
Oh yeah, and I could imagine it's rampant on Discord too.
that it's
Even
really
in
good.
yeah. Oh no, you can go.
I was gonna say it's really awkward when you being invited to servers. I just peace out, or I end up never using some of these servers because you suddenly find you think it's going to be a server with adults, and next thing you know, there's a bunch of like 14 and 16-year-olds on there. And I'm like, I don't need to be here. Like, why does this exist? And that's another thing those tokens could work with, is gating that stuff, because it really doesn't need to be happening. Like, if you want to talk to someone specifically, like I said, about that topic, or they want to pick your brain as they want to get into software engineering, want to ask you questions, okay, fine. But if they don't need to be on a server where it's people acting like animals, but also some of them it is a sexual thing or something else,
Yeah.
or they want to talk about their stuff experience with their partner, and well, yeah, they have sex with their partner. And yes, teenagers are in puberty, they think of sex, but that doesn't mean me as a strange adult to them should be talking to them about it. It gets into a very weird area immediately, and
Yeah, it's
it's not
like
something we need to be doing.
they can talk about it amongst themselves. It's whatever. It's fucking fine. Like
They always have done.
here's the thing. Asterisk. Us as teenagers, at some point, we either lost our virginities or talked about sex as teenagers. Like, we're not gonna fucking
Yeah.
be prudes and say, "Oh, I was a fucking angel until I hit 18, and then I fucking went off the handles." Like, no, I'm sure a lot of people, did stuff before they were 18. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, but it should stay between teenagers. Like, there is no reason why fucking
A
any eight, like,
25-year-old should be,
yeah, any,
yeah.
like, even a 21-year-old, like a 21-year-old should not be in these fucking spaces.
Well, we shouldn't be having all these conversations of what is age of consent, like people saying age of consent is whatever in their state. And it's like, that doesn't matter once the
No,
other person hits 18. The
no.
amount of times you will see that, just spend a month on Twitter, it's like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? And then the 17-year-olds, the 18, or you have a 14-year-old trying to date an 18-year-old. It's like, just help these people out, put some guardrails in place. They clearly, no one is doing their job of teaching what is permissible. And you can have all the arguments about whether or not some of these things are morally right or not. I'm not trying to have that argument. I'm saying, look, this is what the law is, and that's what a lot of us are trying to follow. And yeah, I also don't want any teenagers hitting on me either. Not that I expect it. It's just
Ah,
weird.
Yeah.
I saw a post of Married with Children on Blue Sky
reject them.
recently, and I started
Reject them.
watching it. And yeah, let me put it this way: the stuff that flew on TV in the late '80s, early '90s. You think the internet's bad?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you some links then. Because no, this was on like fucking network TV.
Network
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah, no, and then it also falls on the parents too, ultimately, because like you will have kids that lie about their age, and then, unfortunately, I don't think there's anything that we can do about that. Again, but outside of asking for their like fucking school ID or something. But it's like, it's hard because I'm even
And
guilty of
that, no,
doing
no,
it.
not that's the
You
thing though.
know?
That's the thing though. It's like, I don't have kids yet, but when I do, I can tell you for absolute certainty, 100% certainty, that I can have control of that network. I can control what websites I can see what websites they're using. I can see my internet traffic. Like, you are not going to get away with anything inside this network. Like, you cannot lie to me. Like, our kids would literally have to get fucking burner phones at Walmart to get away with some shady shit.
Yeah. Oh,
And
and the
even
minute I
even
find
then,
that
even
out, oh.
even then I would know. Even then I would know. Like, here's the thing, it's like, me in real person, like, I have that fucking wolf stare. I can see through your fucking soul. Like, I will find out.
Yeah.
But it's funny. You talk about like kids hiding stuff. My brothers even mentioned like the stupid invisible ink thing in iMessage. Apparently, parents hate that. And I didn't even think his kids were old enough for that to be an issue. Maybe they're not, and he's heard it from other parents. But it's just all the things that like, yeah, there's privacy that they need, but then there is that stuff of like, what are they up to? And there's
Mhm.
being a parent, and then there's being an intrusive overbearing. And I can understand like it's amazing how much tech has not considered that. Like the
Right.
fact that parents are
Yeah,
even worried that like kids are constantly sending stuff where you couldn't check their messages or anything without becoming intrusive. And I mean, I
right.
don't know. I don't have kids. I don't want kids, but it's just the most like
It's the
random thing to hear him mention.
theoreticals. Yeah,
Yeah.
theoreticals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
even his kids get on
that's
YouTube.
the thing. It's like the whole trust thing, right? It's like being
Yeah.
hyper defensive and stuff. It's like, and we keep seeing it. It's like, the increasing rate of pedophilia on the internet. It's like, let's say theoretically, right? I have my 12-year-old daughter talking to a supposedly a 14-year-old boy, right? Which in the real world that would be okay. You know, if it's a 12-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy, that's perfectly whatever. Who cares, right? But how can I fucking know if this 14-year-old online is not a fucking 30-year-old pretending to be 14?
Well, that's where things like
Mhm.
my token concept would help. Not that people won't eventually find ways around anything, but
So
I
I'm
would
just
say even
saying, like,
12 to 14 to some degrees can still have issues because 14 is high school. And that's what we quickly forget is at certain age groups, a year or two can make a vast amount of difference.
right, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, because that puberty hits and life is fucking different. I will tell you right now, puberty hits and it's fucking
Well,
something
all we
else.
have to do is talk about a major life event where I was and where you two were, and it sounds like we're so far apart in age, and then you actually do the math, and it's like, oh no, we're not that much different. It's just when you're school age, you could take something like 5 years, and that's a world of friggin' difference. As
Yeah,
adults, there are people
Mhm.
who married couples that are 5 years apart, and they've been married for like 20, 30 years.
right. So
Yeah.
so we bring this up every so often. Like when I was 18, Frosty was like 13 or some shit.
Is that yeah, that is the age difference, huh? But even still, yeah, like I remember, like I said, back with when I had that LG rumor touch, I was on Facebook a lot in high school, and I ended up meeting and finding a friend of mine, and he was 5 years older than me. So I was a sophomore. I was like 15. And at that time he was 19, about to be 20. And so he was already like in college and stuff, but we had met because GameStop made a post where it was like, "Oh, like find Xbox Live friends, post your gamer tag." And so like he found me and he's like, "Hey, I saw you liked Halo. Do you want to play Halo sometime?" And it's like, "Oh, hell yeah." And so like and my when I told my parents about it, like I was like, "Oh yeah, I found this like really cool dude and we play, video games all the time." And they were like, "How old is he?" And I was, "Oh, he's like 20." And he's like, "But you're 15. Like you shouldn't be talking to a 20-year-old." And I was like, "Well, I mean, it's not like we're hanging out or anything. It's
But you
just
know
like."
exactly where their minds went.
Right, yeah, and they're like, "You're talking to a 20-year-old?" Because, like, at that time, I didn't think a 20-year-old was well, actually, no, I did think that they were an adult, like, 20 as an adult, but now that I'm, like, past 20, it's like, they were just a kid too, they were just but
But
it's
that's
just
definitely
like
an age where someone would totally you cross that line potentially, and that's
Yeah,
exactly why your parents were concerned.
yeah.
Whether or not it's paranoid or not, it's I'm pretty sure shit like that's happened.
and
Yeah.
I don't mean to be dark or sinister or anything, but a 20-year-old coming after a 15-year-old in any situation is predatory. No matter what the 15-year-old says. No matter what you're saying right now, that 20-year-old knew what he was doing. He was being predatory.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to think not, but, I mean, like,
No,
like I said,
no,
we
no,
still
no. Well, here's the thing. It's like so if somebody is having like direct personal communications with me and they fucking come out saying they're 15, I'm literally like, "Whoop! This conversation is over. We'll see you never. Bye."
see when you're
It's
older.
it's funny you say that, because two things. God, I wish Twitch had something that verified it because you guys had some people show up playing that
Right.
I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
that's why I don't talk as much during some of those. I'm like, I have a strong suspicion, and I'm gonna shut my damn mouth. And then there's other things briefly clipped out earlier. I'm pretty sure my nephews, who are maybe elementary school age, I admit I'm not as involved with my brother's family as I probably should be, but now I live far away. Um, I definitely pretty damn sure they've been on YouTube and using. I think a lot of kids in Gen Alpha use YouTube. Like
Yeah.
a lot of us grew up with cable, and
Mhm.
that's the thing. Is my whole thing is YouTube. I've been told went through a thing about 10 years ago or something of trying to like clean up and make it kid friendly, and people were getting worried, especially furries doing fursuit content, that their stuff was going to be marked as for children, even though it wasn't made for children. It wasn't
Right.
violating YouTube policy, but it was more aimed at an adult crowd, maybe a little suggestive-ish, as you would see with anyone not in a fursuit that's an adult making videos aimed at adults. Because let's be real, influencers fucking do it too. Um,
Yeah.
and
I
but the
do
thing is,
remember
like,
that, yeah.
why is it? I'm like, first of all, content should be opted into for kids, but also, how much shit is just shown by these platforms by default to kids that without gatekeeping? Like, the comment section is known as the worst part of the web, aside from, the really, really bad parts of the web.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's there to isn't that there to kids by default? Like, aren't all these things just shown by default? Like, it's kind of wild. And maybe there is a view that hides it, but I'm just thinking, why is so much shit just shown to them? Technically, you could argue they shouldn't be on that
Okay.
site till
So
13.
so so I want to add
Mhm.
to that actually because and okay, so the similarity here is video games and Nintendo themselves still a corporate Japanese entity in Japan traditionally they still see video games as a thing for kids. They still see it as oh, this is a childish endeavor. Like if you're fucking playing video games as an adult, you're a loser. So
Mhm.
a lot of normies still see furry content as a thing for kids, like automatically.
I
And
honestly would,
I think that's the similarity there is a lot of people still do have that mentality that being a video gamer is very childish.
and I would still honestly argue that a lot of those sites also should be like YouTube and TikTok need to be bumped to 18 up because we worry about like, well, what are they being exposed to? Well, if you're going to be that worried, then you actually go in on it because unless there's things that where it can be opted into is for kids by the creator. And honestly, I would say if it has to be reviewed by a person, which means you're paying to some degree for a subscription, okay, whatever. Yeah, we've monetarily gate kept it, but if you're people are worried about it, why are we trusting strangers to not slip stuff in that was, grooming them or trying to manipulate their political view or some other thing? Back to that, junior Hitler stuff that some of these kids get pulled into. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people making fucked up things on there that can word their stuff very well and are very charismatic. And again, why is it
Ooh.
just open to all of them? If people are really worried, they gotta, yeah, be willing to say maybe this shouldn't be, maybe these sites shouldn't be fully free to upload as you want. It's a problem. Hell, I remember someone talking about having to report YouTube shorts because they'd see fucking tweens uploading videos of them flashing their cameras, and it's like, what the fuck is this
Yeah.
on YouTube?
Ooh.
Oh, okay, it was called COPPA. It's
Yeah.
Children's
the
Online Privacy Protection Act. That's why you have the
yeah,
I'm 13 checkbox, which is technically supposed to be them asking your full birth date because everyone knows to just check the box.
yep.
Yeah.
So if you see the birth date, technically they may not be storing it because that checkbox is no longer valid and anything doing it is not fully compliant. But yeah, you
Yeah,
could friggin' lie on that too.
it became effective on July 1st, 2013, but it had been written in 1998. So it was like
Wow.
it took them that long to finally, finalize it.
I know about it because a friend, my business partner, was doing an app in the past, and I had to friggin' read on it. And reading the amount of times I reread the same crap trying to comprehend it, it is not written for. They need to make that shit easy to understand.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
wonder so many things are technically in violation of it.
Yeah, because YouTube's response was that they made YouTube Kids, and it's like, just seeing the content on there is just so like, I
Do you
don't
remember
even know how
AOL?
half of that stuff. Oh yeah,
Do you ever try AOL Kids?
nope.
Oh, I was on
I
there.
heard
That
about
set
it.
that for a hot
Yeah.
second. Then I got my dad to change it because I couldn't even leave the AOL content. It was that much of a cop out, which I understand
Yeah.
at that era. Yeah, there wasn't much in place, but we're in 2024. There's a lot that web hosts and other things can collaborate. I mean, there's so much that's done between open source and between private companies, collaboration with those companies that, is known and not even allowed to know because the NDA is that like this stuff can be pulled off at this point. It doesn't have to be either your site could go full raunchy or it has to be full kitty time
I
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, because let's be honest. Okay, so how to word this properly without seeming like a fucking weirdo? Um, just hear me out, guys. It's all theoretical. So as a 14 to 17-year-old, like you're not a fucking baby, right? You're also not a preteen. You're going through a transition basically, and you don't want to look at fucking baby shit all day. Like
Yeah.
you are striving to do the cool shit that adults are doing. And yeah, that that gets dangerous because, people can push you into very dangerous situations involving substances and sex, but like that's the reality of life is that I guess biologically we're trying to uh I guess emulate these things as we prepare ourselves to be adults. So doing this like kids like super sanitized stuff actually would, to me I would think it pushes them into being more I guess rebellious, more doing things more illegally, simply for the fact that you're like super sanitizing things.
Yeah. That's
So
definitely where like the internet wouldn't need to be 18 and up and then Kitty Town under 18. There's definitely got to be stuff unlocked as you progress. And some might have to be could possibly have some parental overrides, but
Mhm.
as adults, we're mostly looking, it's especially ones about kids at the moment, looking at what gets our spaces to be more adult and gets, the younger adults and the ones that are trending to adulthood, but they're still teenagers, their spaces that they can interact and isn't going to allow the creepy adults in and isn't going to get the rest of us looked at by extremists looking for an excuse to drop
yeah,
a boot on your neck.
Mhm.
Because we
yeah,
aren't trying to get these kids in our spaces, but right now tech isn't doing shit for it because it makes them money.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
true.
ultimately, I keep saying that the root of all evil ends up being money, financial gain, because it's greed, and people just get let greed go out of control.
I will give tech one thing is all that engineering does get to be hard and people find ways around it. And in some ways, almost if it weren't for the fiduciary duties and the greed, yes, maybe they would work more with government officials to get this stuff fixed. Because almost if you have some regulations to support what you're doing, or it forces your competition to do what you want to do, which is, maybe gatekeep some stuff, then you won't be obligated to do the shitty thing that your competition's doing. You could gatekeep your stuff because you're not leaving money on the table. Your competition's on the same playing field as you.
Yeah,
So
and
if
and
Twitter
like
wouldn't have, okay,
here's the thing. I feel like sometimes company has to make sacrifices for the better of humanity. Like you
they do.
cannot just fucking keep going and just like, oh, like let's just keep fucking profit, 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 profit. Who gives a fuck about people? It's like you realize you're screwing over humanity for some very temporary, like how is the future gonna look back on us? How is the future generations gonna say like, oh yeah, these generations did good for us? Like that's what I'm trying to say. It's like we're not like a lot of these companies are not going to be remembered in a good light.
Well, and us as the users or even people starting these companies working at them, do we want to be looked at by future generations, Gen Alpha and what's after them, and the way that we look at boomers? Because there are
No,
boomers
I
that
mean
did great,
definitely,
innovative things, but we're not
yeah,
focused on that. We're focused on the ones that you're sitting there looking at your calendar and be like, gee, I wonder how many more years this fucker's going to live because, you're sick of them. And it's dark, but you see the shit some of these people
yeah,
are still doing. And it's like they won't step aside. They're double, tripling, quadrupling down on shit. And you're just like, you lose your sympathy real fast.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you know, I'm yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty anti-boomer. I'll come out with it. Like, I'm pretty anti-boomer because a lot of them, they can't be changed. They're not gonna change their ways. It's like, they're super deep set in what they believe, and they really do believe in themselves and nobody else. Like a lot of the decisions they took, 40 years ago was for them. It was selfish and it was greed. And a lot of them didn't have the mentality of, hey, let's do something for the future generations. A lot of them, it was just consumerism and, hey, buy, 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 buy. I have the money now. Fuck people in the future. Like, I'm going on my vacations. I don't care.
Watch any documentary about the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, if you don't know what he's talking about, just watch anything about the 80s.
Oh, the
So
80s was very like, from what I see, like very in the moment, like,
I
uh
didn't really experience the 80s, but yeah, even I just feel like even just in my life, coming off the heels of the 80s, it got talked about a lot, even on TV, and now there are documentaries.
yeah, it seemed like a good time. Like
yeah, yeah, but
Apparently,
it
everything was
was
brown
wow.
everything, yeah, like retro-y brown or whatever.
and
Like
smelled
wood.
of tobacco.
Yeah.
That part I remember because that part went into the 90s. There are
Well, I
photos I
just
can see and I can smell them.
yeah. Well, and not even that too, but I always heard that like all the 90s it was a surplus government. So like
Yeah.
everyone's parents had money and they were able to like buy anything and everything and it was just buy 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 and like I was like, "Dang. I wish I was in the 90s." Well, like I was born
Dang.
like so like 96 I was on the tail end, but once I started to be able to like, have any sort of retentive thoughts, it was already the 2000s. So it's like I didn't get to experience the wonderfulness of the 90s,
Oh, it's
early
definitely
90s.
trippy hearing what boomers paid for some things, and then you also try and do the math on what they made and other stuff. But it is definitely, I think there's a lot of stuff that people got away with as younger adults and just like that middling like 20s to 30 somethings or even early 40s as adults
A lot of these
they
people
couldn't
got
do
away
today.
right, a lot of these people got away with a lot of insane criminal shit because there was no cameras everywhere. Because now we're living in an
Mhm.
interconnected world where the internet is everywhere and everybody has a camera and everybody's recording.
World star.
Oh my god, World
But
Star.
even just financially, just to think about it, because again, computers, to tie back to the topic, the internet's been around. I mean, you watch show period pieces from like 80s or even older, and the internet was still there. But the
The co
90s
the
is really when it started kicking off as a
Yeah, the
consumer thing.
commercial internet started in the 90s. Al Gore was one of the people that kicked it off with DARPA.
And
But, the internet wasn't truly social until, like, the second half of the '90s.
yeah, AOL, I
Yeah.
think, really helped popularize it. But that's still when a lot of people viewed it as you might see it as that weird nerdy thing, or I think it honestly was the year 2000. I want to say New Year's then. If it wasn't that, it was sometime around one of the years around there. Just seeing the news on as a kid, and they talked about like they had some from AOL. Was like, yeah, our numbers dropped right around midnight. People signed off to celebrate their families, and then they shot right back up. Like that was a thing. There were people who barely touched the internet, only used it occasionally, and then there are people who fucking lived on it. But now
Wow.
everyone does.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's why you see me mention AOL a lot and different things on streams of like it changed. That was a completely different time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and our perspective has to shift with it.
And I mean, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad, you know? Like, you take an
Mhm.
example of the good, like, Frosty and I are in Virginia, and then EVs across the country, like, that's the thing, it's like, this wouldn't be possible without the internet, like, this wouldn't be
Yeah.
possible at all because the internet is a place to share, digital resources and knowledge. Like, this avatar made by Julia Winterpaw and, you know, recolored and retextured and all that good stuff, that was a collaboration of many people. It wasn't just me, it was Julia Winterpaw, it was, the artist who made the base model of this hair on Frosty. I made this shirt. That was me. I did this. I came up with these designs and it all came together to create these characters that you're looking at now. So that is a positive of the internet. And that I think still can continue forward. It's just the social aspect is what I think is dying. I think the
Mhm.
the, the technical aspect is thriving for a sense because we are still sharing digital assets. We are still sharing knowledge. It's just that we're not sharing our humanity.
And I think a lot of this is going to
Yeah.
be a learning experience. Because one of the things from when everyone went remote, you'd hear complaints on were people being incapable of communicating. Um,
Mhm.
but
Oh no, I was
sorry, I
just
had
saying.
someone in the room. I was just waiting by. But yeah, people had trouble. Some people had trouble communicating, and they couldn't figure out to know when someone's at their desk. And I think that's a sign of illiteracy to a degree and poor use of it. But the positive of people being able to learn more and use all this has been like, I'll just use an anecdote. Coworker at a previous job, she was probably, I don't know how many years younger than me, seemed like around my age enough. She lived out in like Montana or something. Same team, we collaborated great. Our whole team did. And the thing is, she was saying she doesn't think she'd have been able to get a job like this, paying what it did in this kind of field, in a place and live somewhere near her family, because out in a state like that, it was a lot of like oil type jobs and other things, nothing tech. So the fact is, it's not that like the internet and other things like that are inherently the problem. It's honestly empowering a lot more than it used to. It's just definitely been the social aspect and the failures people to learn and adapt and learn restraint and also segregate stuff
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay. Yeah. Not dead internet yet, but on the way, okay? The dying internet. maybe
I
we
mean, I
should
think the old
maybe we should
era
retitle the
Dying,
episode to the dying
dying
internet.
slowly, socially internet.
it's the old era, and I've been saying for years it needed to die. Even before I spent a lot of time on Twitter, I just saw a lot of that issue on Facebook, and Twitter apparently was worse.
Yeah.
People have to separate. They also have to learn boundaries when it's okay to message, because as some of these
Well,
people separate off.
that's the thing. It's like, okay, so a lot of people assume, right? So all three of us are successful individuals of society, right? And
Yeah.
I am just gonna give you as an absolute fact. All three of us are successful individuals of society who have well adjusted, and we are contributing to society by, going to work every day and doing what we do. But here's the thing is, a lot of these people that grew up with the internet and only have social interactions on the internet do not have the real life interactions, the real life experience to have been socially adjusted. Because, like, I just recently, I had somebody literally nuke all their accounts and disappear. Like, that's not fucking normal at all.
Yeah.
Like,
It becomes concerning.
I have people that fucking expect a reply from me literally within 15 minutes. That's not normal at all.
And then I know people that
And then I know people that don't fucking reply in like 3 days to a month, and that's not normal at all. Especially when I'm pinging you, right? Like it's okay. Like you gave the example earlier where, somebody sent you a message and you kept forgetting. So I have a policy to check up on you. Like if I send you a message, I will wait like, maybe a couple hours or so, and then I'll check on in you again. And then if I didn't fucking hear from you for like a couple days, I'll check on you again. If I didn't hear from you from like a week after that, I'll check in again. And then if a week has passed and you haven't fucking answered me, I think there's something wrong on your end. Like you had a family emergency or something. And then I'm going to wait a month. And after a month, if you haven't fucking contacted me back, you're fucking nuked. Like you're off my list. But I do constantly keep pinging you back.
That ping back helps me because I feel bad about it, especially if it's like by the third time. Like,
that's the thing. I give people a lot of chances. Like you have a whole month to reply to me, and if you haven't replied to me for like a month, you're fucking done. Like bye.
now I'm confused. I thought someone had texted me. Now I'm wondering what platform it is.
See, that too. That's a problem, isn't it? Is like you have all these fucking platforms, people message you, and then you forget where the fuck the message was.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that the EU is supposedly trying to fix is gatekeeping based on platform, because there's been a lot of stuff that's been caused more like oligopolies essentially. I don't think anything's quite hit a monopoly, but Facebook Messenger is one that was called out in allowing messages from different apps across platforms, because so that they don't
Yeah.
basically lock you in, because that's where everyone's at. Because
Yeah.
I'm getting so sick of people saying, well, I'm on there because that's where everyone's at. It's like, yes, but it's a shit platform. And yeah, now I'm starting looking because I'm starting to feel guilty. I want to get back to person. Now I'm like, did they delete it because it was an iMessage?
Well,
I
that's
mean,
that's the thing. It's like some people do delete things. Yeah,
That's why I like the text messages, because once you send it, I mean, for the most part, I don't think you can
it's
delete a
permanent.
text.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like mostly permanent.
maybe it was Facebook because I'm seeing, okay, he sent an attachment. So I would have forgotten to respond if that was the next thing I saw pop up. But that was still back in August. But a lot of people will send you friggin' Facebook Reels or something. I just don't care about that stuff so much anymore. My TikTok
Yeah.
inbox is probably bursting because I just, it might be funny if you watch these people enough, but it's kind of like normie-ish humor, like,
Yeah,
oh, it gets so hot in the South. I'm like, yeah, I found that funny. Then I found other things to entertain me, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
do have like normie friends that they blow up my TikTok inbox with just retweets of TikToks, and I'm like, I don't have time to sit and go through these things that you find funny. I mean, like one day I will, maybe, but it's just like
it was the stuff that was funny when your feed sucked because it was the same
Yeah.
memes reshared over and over. But then
yeah.
once you discovered like actual interactions, it's like, this influencer is only like mildly funny. They would have been like funny as a YouTube person to binge, but I'm not digging through this platform or the 12 things you sent me when I'm trying to
Yeah.
fucking work.
A-
And then I'm
And
trying to play Fortnite later.
and here's the thing. It's like you're trying to play Fortnite later. So here's the thing, right? Like socially, like for me, I do tell people, like I'm at the point where I'm telling people like, hey, I don't want you to get offended if I don't want to talk to you one on one. Like I am in enough places. I'm in enough public spaces where you can get a hold of me. Like if you want to come on my Twitter and fucking talk to me like through a post, like, hey, do you want to like DM? I'll be like, sure, fine, that's fine. Like, no big deal. Because like I'll miss a DM because my DMs are full of bots. Uh, or another place you can come to, it's like I basically stream every fucking night. I stream every night. So if someone really wants to get a hold of me, you could literally come into my fucking Twitch chat and fucking talk to me. And I will talk back to you. So like people that take it like offense to not having direct one-on-one when I don't want to have a direct one-on-one, like that's an issue. Like and that's an issue that I've been noticing develop over time with a lot of these people that aren't socially adjusted is that they want their one-on-one attention and they will go through some stupid like hoops to try to get it.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned this because it's honestly why I don't message people much because a lot of people are at the point where they say, please don't message me with just like, hi, I'm not responding to these because they get
Right.
so many. And I do wonder if that's at the crux of some of these issues people have across social media is the people you think you would like build some sort of relationship with, whether they're running a business or not, like they get so much. I do wonder if they get so much crap that they just tune all of it out. Um,
Yeah, for the most part. It's like I said, people are hyper defensive because they've been getting bombarded for the past 5 years, 10 years, with the same crap with people that are socially unadjusted and want to be entertained on a one-on-one basis. And it's like
that
here's the thing, my guy. Like, I'm not here to entertain you on a one-on-one. If you don't have an interesting conversation to have with me, if you just want to do fucking small talk, like I'm sorry, but I don't want to make time for that. Like, it's not that I don't have time. It's like I don't want to make time for it. Like I have a stream. I have Woof Radio to do. I have a million background projects that I could pick up. I have, Frosty that I could be entertaining instead of random Joe Schmo on the internet, Fury Uwu number 69. Like,
Yeah.
why would, like, if you think you are valuable and I personally find you to be valuable, I will engage with you. But
Yeah.
if you are just there for me to try, you want to say hi and like want me to entertain you personally, like that's not going to work out.
That's honestly why I don't message a lot of people. It's not a disinterest in them. It's I don't have anything to talk about. And it's more like that's where those interactions, more interpersonal, whether it is gaming together or going and meeting up in person, make a bigger difference because actual conversations happen more organically and text doesn't cover that. But this also gets back to the boundary thing of people expecting you to respond too quickly. Like that even goes into workplaces and a failure of tech there is we all want to be accessible, and sometimes you're expected to be accessible at stupid times when it's like Saturday morning and it's like, no, if this is a problem, file a report and I will get buzzed by the app, you know? It's and then sometimes you're told don't use these channels because you might ping the whole team, and it's like it's almost like there's this ebb and flow of how can you post things to communicate with people, but also not disrupt them during times they shouldn't? And that
Yeah.
applies for work, but also personal, because you should be able to just be like, you could be busy, but also that just literally watching TV. That doesn't matter. That could be your personal time. And it's okay for you to not even have your phone buzz. Like,
Yeah. No, yeah, like,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna answer my messages while I'm bouncing on Frosty. Like, that's just not gonna happen. So if someone gets offended that I didn't see their message at 6:02 PM and it took me till fucking 10:30 PM, like, that's a problem, and most
you could
likely
see it at 10 and say,
that's
I'll
gonna
get
be
to
a
it tomorrow.
yeah, that's gonna be a
Yeah.
block.
There's some countries, I think in Europe, if it wasn't the whole EU, that have banned work communications after certain, like you can't expect anyone to check their email outside work hours because that is work. You have to be paying them for it. You're also intruding into their off hours. And I mean, that definitely needs to happen in more places, especially the US, but also with interpersonal communication. Like that's why sometimes I used to send things without making noise or not respond to people till the morning. I'm like, they're asleep. I don't know their settings. I'm not risking
Yeah,
waking them up.
that was funny. I
Yeah.
recently had somebody that I literally fucking sent a message to at 3 in the morning, and they're like, "I just woke up, like, this woke me up," and I'm like, "Oh, we don't all just have do not disturb after fucking 9 PM?"
My sleep schedule's so weird anymore. I definitely couldn't do that. But also things like Telegram kind of suck because they don't like they still light your screen up if you send without sound. And the full D&D
Yeah.
wouldn't work for certain jobs because I'm honestly not sure if some apps I had at one job could have overridden the D&D. And that would have been a
Mhm.
problem because I would have been in violation of my responsibilities as being on call.
Yeah.
So some tech
Yeah.
definitely needs to catch up with that integration because yeah, we need our boundaries, but you don't need Telegram fucking waking you up, but you need your pager duty notification to fucking get your ass out of bed because you need to go fix whatever went down.
Yeah.
Might be
Yeah.
4 a.m., but it's your responsibility and you'll negotiate some time to go sleep after that.
Yeah, for the record, my do not disturb starts at 9 PM and then ends at, like, 7 in the morning.
And that's Eastern
Eastern Time.
because no one knows how to like go Google how to translate time zones also.
Yeah.
The amount of times you've had to say that in your stream is astounding. Off
Yeah.
topic, but still.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Real quick, I just wanted to say hello, chat. There was a couple of messages earlier from a poop business. I love algorithms. I guess this is back when we were talking about like the algorithms and whatnot. And then Jonathan Tran, is that Nitro? Yes, that is Nitro.
So John Tran is that Dr. Tran.
Dr. Tran.
I got to bring back old internet. The fact that
Hel
we have enough years between us and you both know that.
Hello, I am Nitro Wolf, host of Wolf Radio. Right here is Frosty, the Arctic Wolf. You can find her on Twitter and Twitch. You can both find us on Twitch. I'm usually playing Fortnite, or if I have a new hyperfixation, I'll be playing that hyperfixation. Like when Helldivers come out, I was literally grinding Helldivers. But I've also gone through phases. Like there was a really long phase I had for Elite Dangerous. So I was like an Elite Dangerous streamer for a long time. But yeah, we're both variety content individuals, and this is
Mhm.
Ev. Ev, we call him EB, and he's usually in the streams when it comes to like gaming and stuff. But he occasionally does guest here on Woof Radio for technical topics, like today's, where we're talking about the dying internet. Which, yeah, I think that's a good title for the episode is The Dying Internet. Because it's not
Yeah.
dead. I mean, it's not completely dead, but it's
I don't,
going there.
yeah. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's a need for its next evolution, and that's not an invite for Web3 tools to come along. and shill stuff. I think they hijacked that need with scams.
Scam.
Don't you miss the
Yeah.
pandemic?
Yeah.
No.
You
You
don't
know,
miss it?
pandemic talk. I was locked in a basement for a year straight during the pandemic.
Pandemic, I was still living my life as usual, fucking working at the airport.
I was working remotely and seeing empirical proof that complaints against remote work were complete bullshit.
Yeah.
I watched an office that had hybrid go fully remote and prove that, like, you don't need people in an office.
The only thing, right? The only thing you need in person is manual labor, which, unfortunately, for an electrical engineer, I need to fucking put in manual labor half the time.
There's a few things, yeah, that even if it could be a technical or computer-based thing, but you are dealing with something physical that
Yeah.
would
Yeah, I
you
have
can't
to.
remove from the premises.
Yeah, I have
Mhm.
to take equipment apart. Here's the thing. I am and I okay. Um, I'm probably not going to say the name of the agency. You know,
I wouldn't.
big agency that they actually have technicians for their engineers the technicians show up and they Cisco connect and have the technicians do the connections and physical stuff for the engineers, and the engineers just sit there on Cisco Connect from their home. So I can't wait to get that, like, in the future, like whenever I get into a position that allows me my own personal assistant and I can stay at home and just Cisco Connect them.
Just tell them what to do. Put
Yeah.
the red wire into the blue
Yeah,
connection.
basically that's basically because I was sitting there doing my work, and that's basically what's going on. It's like, "Hey, can you make this connection? Like, plug this J1 to fucking, socket 3, and I wanna see what happens."
Mhm.
Well, and that's even more magical because the amount of people that show up to a workplace sick, and then we wonder, like, gee, why is everyone out? Oh, it's flu season. Yeah, because some asshole came in sick, and you just got 20 to 50 more sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're at
So,
home not getting sick.
yeah, for now, the position I'm in, like, I have to fucking show up to work because I have to do the physical work. I have to take apart the equipment myself. But yeah,
Mm.
hopefully one day I can remote it. I can, not show up to work anymore.
So I have a thing tied back to the topic. You avoided saying the agency name, and I think that was good. And earlier, a year was mentioned that sounded like implied a birthday, and it just makes me think how often I dance around things like my age, not to deceive, but to protect PII for just identity theft things. And you've had to deal with people in your stream telling them, no, don't tell me your age. And I
Yeah.
was seeing on Reddit people talking about streamers who also run Discord servers, and Reddit said, I need to see this stuff. Someone talking about how they've had to delete stuff people posted in their Discord servers and tell them not to do it again, like posting their driver's permit they just got, learner's
Yeah.
permit. A lack of understanding on identity protection, that difference between making interpersonal connections and protecting yourself by not sharing stuff that could get your fucking identity stolen, and how
Right,
people
and
don't understand that anymore.
that's one thing
Mhm.
about the internet that, we've gone through. It's like, the social engineering is rampant now, where things that seem harmless and stupid and meaningless, like, are actually just, data capturing, like, tools.
What was your first car? What was your street you grew up on? And these are memes you share, and people are really
Yeah.
like, they are data mining. This is shit from your
Mhm.
security questions. Some of this is stuff that will be on those like identity verification things that go through like the credit bureaus that have like wild amounts of aggregated info that will shock you because you've forgotten this shit.
Yeah.
Like what license plate
Mhm.
has been associated with you? What addresses have you lived at? Who has lived at the same address as you at the same time? Like that was a question I had recently on one. I'm like, Jesus, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
so. Yeah, that's all stuff that could be on that, and people have very forgotten that.
Yeah, and it's just, a lot of this stuff, like, here's the thing, being in having been in the Marine Corps, like, a lot of this, like, cybersecurity stuff is, like, basic training, like, it's something that you have to sit there and do every single year, and I know a lot of civilians just don't get that. Like, if you're not working in a corporate setting where you deal with technology all the time, that nobody is going to tell you like, "Hey, be careful. Yeah, you should behave this way online." Like, you gotta be careful with like third party agents that are a danger to you and the company.
Oh my god, yeah, working at a
Mhm.
startup, that when I did, like, I'd get message on LinkedIn about stuff, and I'm just thinking like, "This is weird. Why are you messaging me?" And I'm like, I would tell people either like, "You could use this thing to see what you're seeing because it's stuff that's publicly available if you use these tools that are publicly available to look at a site and see what's happening, see what services are being used on that site, or that's not mine, you need to contact this department." It's astounding the kind of weird phishing things. Like, you'd think it's weird when ITs are sending out, quarterly or half year or whatever, like these warnings about things. It's like, don't plug in weird, like strange flash drives to your machine or pop a
Yeah.
CD in or whatever that you found. Like, it could be malicious. You think that's weird. It gets really fucking weird when randos are messaging you on LinkedIn and you're trying to think, they trying to sell this company something that I work for? Is this actually like potential like client, or is this someone fishing for malicious shit? Like, it
Yeah.
sets off so many alarms and you're just sitting here thinking, it's fucking 11:30, midnight, 2 a.m., whatever. Like, I'm in bed on the day. Like, why am I dealing with this shit? Why are you messaging me? Who the
And
fuck are you?
and here's the thing, and it's like, I'm going back to my high school experience, right? I didn't get taught any of this shit. Like, it took the Marine Corps to fucking teach me a lot of the cybersecurity stuff. Um, but during high school, I didn't get any of that stuff, and I don't know how it is now. I don't know if there's more, I guess, tech savvy courses that are teaching kids like, "Hey, this is stuff that happens. This is how you
So,
should
fun
behave."
thing,
Mhm.
from what I hear, just through grapevine and posts, and I think even maybe professionally, if I remember correctly, there's been an issue with what's being taught now is because so many devices have been developed so well. They're on things like iPads and Chromebooks. It sounds like they're honestly getting less. And I'm trying to remember where the fuck I learned some of these things from that I knew in like before graduating high school, because these kids don't even know, like, these are kids supposedly going to like computer science programs, don't even know what a file system is.
Right, right, right. Things are being stupidly simplified, and that was always my issue with Apple, is that it was stupefied.
I mean, to me, I
Mhm.
look at some of it like an automatic car. Like, you you're removing a barrier for people who don't need to fucking know what it is. It's the problem when they learn none of it and then they want to work with it. And we're
Right.
like, well, what the fuck are they supposed to do? It's like, well, we're not teaching it. If you got a kid interested in going into automotive engineering or work being a mechanic, they take classes on that stuff in school or they learn about it. The person who's going to go be your heart surgeon doesn't fucking need to know how to do manual transmission. Like, you need them to be an expert on biology and heart surgery.
Yeah.
So I don't mind them not knowing about a computer file system. I mind the people who should be more tech savvy, who are going to be working with computers, even if it's an office environment, having no clue how to do anything without an app
But
automating 90%.
okay, okay, and this is going into something else, and we're kind of going off topic, but I think this is interesting. So that is you're talking about individual drive and individual wonder, and I feel like a lot of that in the newer generation is slowly being snuffed out because I have a guy who's technically our he's our intern, and this dude is he was not my choice. I didn't want to make sure I didn't want him to get hired. I didn't want him to get transferred to our department because I knew that he was just technologically illiterate, and he was lying. He was lying so much. You know, he was saying things like, "Oh, I have 4 years of soldering experience. I am very good at troubleshooting." Blah 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 blah. And I'm seeing him in action. I'm seeing him on the spot. Testing him, and I'm like, I would rather get a fucking 16-year-old that knows how to work Linux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
a
And
feel
and you
like,
you just have so many liars, so many corporate liars, all these fucking, scammers. Like, they're, like, faking their resumes and faking their experiences,
and
and they
unfortunately,
they
that's
make
why
it yeah, they make it to the field and it's like, you don't fucking know anything.
Well, that's why I've had to tell people, like, yes, you have to own your experience on your resume because so many people are worried about being that person. Because there are people that lie, but then there's people worried about owning it. And I have to tell them, like, I've learned, no, you have to own it because there are people who are embellishing and you actually do have enough of that experience. Whatever you're missing, you're capable of learning on the job. And odds are they're asking for more than they need. So no matter what the field, but especially if it's IT, like a lot of the shit you can fucking learn. Just and a lot of things they can test you on and they can see. And I bet whatever you guys could test on, you would pick something relevant to the job that could be testable right there without making them do your work for you, because that would be wrong. But that's one of the things I've seen in my industry, tying back to the internet, building stuff to the internet. It always annoys me when I get people doing tests that clearly it's like they ripped from their CS textbook or something, because it's something you would never code building anything for the web, because the browser has this stuff for you. It's reinventing the wheel. And then there's places that will actually test you on, like, building shit for websites as you would. And I'm like, I appreciate what you're doing. You doing your due diligence. Yes, it's actually work for me, but it's actually skills you should have. You're not asking someone to build a custom file uploader like they're building a YouTube site themselves. Like, you guys don't do that. You build marketing sites, and you're definitely not asking them to build a text field that literally adds each letter individually and knows where the cursor is. You don't do that on the web.
Yeah.
Like, it's astounding.
And going back to what I was saying about, personal, I guess personal drive. Um and I saw here's the thing. I saw a lot of fucking boomers, and I guess what was the older generation after
Silent
millennials?
Gen.
The silent
Silent Gen.
gen
The one before boomers was Silent Gen,
Oh yeah.
or
because they
after
were the
boomers?
Depression era generation.
A
Gen
little bit
X was after, wasn't it?
Yes, Gen
a
X was
little older than us. What comes a little older? Gen X?
Gen X.
Gen
They were the
Okay.
X.
So
MTV
so that's
generation.
that's the thing is Gen X was talking a lot of shit about uh basically people 10 years ago, how a lot of people, a lot of kids just wanted to be YouTube stars and Twitch stars. And they were like even like 5 6 years ago, they were like referencing Ninja, like, oh look, all these kids just want to be Ninja, they all just want to be like socialites. And I think there was some truth to it. I think there was some truth to it. Like uh it did
You know what?
poison a lot of people into the whole being a star.
You know
Like,
what other
cause we
people
we
wanted
went through
before, though, right?
well, a
It
lot
was
of
movie
people like,
stars, TV stars,
well,
sports
that's the thing,
athletes.
that was the bad thing, is I was about to go to, like, America's Got Talent, like, that fucking, like, tried to push a lot of people into, like, trying to be the next star, I suppose,
Even
and
before that was a show, I
it
remember
went
growing
from
up, people
that.
talked about, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you would still have enough people that you'd have a lot of people mention real, like normal careers. Then you'd always have some that would like to be something else, but then they'd have a backup thing, because it was at least being pushed to know that, like, that's great if you could play pro sport or be a movie star, but what's a backup? Because that's far reaching.
Right, and, that
Yeah.
I think there was a time where a lot of kids just didn't have backups. They didn't wanna they put all the eggs in the basket, and I think we ended up with a situation where we technically got screwed. Because, STEM has been suffering for the past 6 years, and
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't tell me it's not true, because I see it. I see it in application. I see it in real life, and, I do see a lot of STEM groups saying that they're struggling with candidates.
some of these things too, I will say the hiring for things has gotten really bad in terms that
Yeah.
the people doing the hiring are doing a shit job.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
testing
the
on things
hiring
they
managers are fucking garbage.
when I mentioned having been tested on stuff that makes no sense to test for people building for the web, I'm dead fucking serious. I've had been asked about things that I'm just thinking, like, why the fuck are you doing this? And yes, I blew some of those because I was trying to jump languages and that caused me some issues. But still, when I look back at it, I'm like, even if I'd done it right, why was that the test? Like, I actually don't think I'd ever want to apply at that place again,
Yeah.
and would tell people not to, just from that experience of like, this is what they're testing on. I question what the mentality of the people working there.
No,
It's like, do
so
they
I'll
overthink what
get.
they're doing?
Oh, absolutely, and a lot of hiring managers are completely disconnected, and you actually never get to talk to the people that you need to work with.
Oh no, some of these people
So
testing
I was
are the ones
directly
you'd work with.
I
They just
was
have no
basically
business doing it.
I was basically insulted by a hiring manager. Um, so I was applying for, and I'll call this out. Fuck Micron. Fuck you guys. So Micron basically their hiring managers insulted me. So I was applying for a more, not an entry level position. I was somewhere, in the middle. And they knew I had been in the field for like 10 years. They knew I was experienced. They had my whole resume. And yeah, I get it, put everybody through the ringer, but at some point the fucking hiring manager like took it to a really stupid level. Like, she was like, "Well, so what would you even do if my vacuum cleaner broke? Like what are you going to do?" And I was like I literally asked her like, "Is this a vacuum cleaner in the clean room processing? Are we talking about like the plant? Are we talking about like a janitor's at the facility? Like what kind of vacuum cleaner are you talking about?" And she's like, "Well, just like at my house." And I'm like, "Th- this I'm not working at your house. Like what is this what does this have to do with anything?" And she's like, "Well, I'm trying to like assess you for what your troubleshooting uh philosophy is." And I'm like, "Well, then ask me about your facility.
So what you
I am applying to work for you at your facility, not at your house. Why are you insulting me with this set of questioning?"
so that was a step lower worse than what I've seen. Because usually when I have them, there is actually someone who should be from your team or one of the teams that involved with the testing phase. So mine in some ways was, I don't know which one's worse, because that one's someone who clearly shouldn't be asking those questions. They were off topic, and it shouldn't matter if you know that type of equipment or not.
Well,
You might be
and
special.
that's the thing. It's like as an electrical engineer, I can easily deduce what the fuck a vacuum cleaner is, a motor, a controller, and, a way to get the power from 120 to whatever the voltage is on the DC motor. Ooh, perfect. Ooh, you're testing me. Oh, like, but that's the thing. It's like you, you ask people questions based on their experience. You don't fucking ask them stupid questions.
Well, this goes back to what I see on LinkedIn periodically, and I barely touch LinkedIn. Is candidates are interviewing you as much as you're interviewing candidates. You basically need someone desperate for a job for it to be one direction. No matter how much you think of your company, you it's not there are people who aren't going to think that same way as you. They may want to work there, but to them it's just a company at the time. They might have their irons in a few fires and they're going to go with whoever bites with the best offer or first offer. And
Yeah,
some of this comes back to another thing the internet has done, keeping on track. It's making people think they're experts in everything, which played into the corporate idea of we can cut roles. You had someone clearly doing a role there that should have been a two-person job. It should have been
yeah.
maybe someone an expert in finding people, engaging certain things about experience and when you're lying and stuff, and then someone who can gauge the technical side of when you're lying and such. And the fact they've left that second person out, it makes me wonder how much of this somewhere along the chain of command, someone's convinced people can be experts in all these things, when clearly the hiring manager is not an expert in your role and probably should never be expected to be. But the internet
Right,
has told
right.
us you can know everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I personally think like okay, I have a lot of pride and but I know the experience and I know what I can do. I know the work I can do and I think I would do perfectly fine at Micron at one of the manufacturing facilities. I think I would be perfectly fine. Um but now having had that experience, I can tell you I am never applying for Micron ever again. Like I will go literally anywhere else.
Yeah,
So,
that's the thing some people are trying
yeah.
to get in others' heads. The ego of the internet is transcendent to corporate, or maybe it's the other way around, but people need to get over themselves. Your company is not as great as you think it is, and if you insult candidates, even if you don't think you are, they may be done, and that's going to get talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm gonna go elsewhere, you know? You know, the grand goal is to end up at NVIDIA, but, you know, we're gotta work on it, gotta work on it.
Yeah, so internet. Woo.
Woo, internet!
Frosty misses
Unfortunately
Flash.
unfortunately,
I do
NVIDIA
miss
is,
Flash.
what's Flash? Oh, the Flash,
Mhm.
the plugin.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
things felt more creative back then.
It
Yeah,
was
I
more
just
accessible. It's more accessible to, use Flash, honestly.
Well, now it's the content, I guess, keep on track, isn't a lot of it's not as creative. And even the people who I felt like put on better performances, whenever I see people put on some of these YouTube streamers or Let's Players or wherever they're considered, I don't know, maybe it's because the games are longer, but it just seems like they're playing so much and having to crank out so many videos. I'm not watching them directly, but I'm in the room sometimes. I'm just like, I don't feel like the spark is there as when they used to play like NES games and it was short form and you might have a series
Hmm.
of like less than 10 videos for this game, or maybe 10, and now it's like 20 to 50 videos or something because it's a modern game, and and they're cranking out, hundreds of videos in a week or month or whatever.
Mhm.
I
yeah.
don't know. Just the creativity feels it's kind of squeezed out because it's not. The algorithms, once again, you have to crank out lots of content. And people said for years YouTube never rewarded content that took a lot of work to do, like animation.
Right.
But I feel like that got doubled down on. So even if there was a proper replacement for Flash, which Adobe may or may not have something, I don't know. I don't keep up with all their shit now.
Well, what I heard
It's
for
no one's adopted
YouTube
it.
what I
It's
heard for
TikToks
YouTube
and
is that
YouTube.
the sweet spot for YouTube was, like, 10 minutes.
But
Mhm.
now it's all YouTube's and YouTube videos, TikToks, Twitch streams. It's all just shit like that. It's a show. And even if you did a show at some point and put production value in, that's too much
Yeah.
work. It needs to just be, hey gang, I'm here again. I'm going to show you how to cook this. And
Wow!
yeah, you have the nice lights and you have the HD camera, but that's your production value.
That's what
The fancy editing
okay, so
is
you wanna use Wolf Radio as an example, like, we're definitely gonna do a hard flop for a long while because, we have these long form, podcast episodes. Like, I technically wanted to keep them under 30 minutes, but they always turn into, like, these hour, 2-hour long episodes, and that kind of, like, long form content just does not do well with people.
you have to trim it down into episodes probably.
Yeah, but,
Pieces.
like, for me personally, it does perfectly fine. Like, in anecdotal for me, like, I'm perfectly fine with listening to, like, 4 hours of an audiobook. So, this type of podcast would fit for that type of person. But, knowing your audience, it's like, as furries, like, unfortunately, a lot of furries just have very low attention span. So, capturing an audience with the furry community is very difficult when you have 2-hour podcast videos. And, from what I understand, the way I see it, they want short form. They want less than 30 minutes. They
Well,
want high excitement, high energy, like, clips out of that. They want, the 5-minute videos of clips where it's just off the wall, super loud screaming, loud energy, like, sex jokes.
so there's a two parts to that. One, we are talking about different kinds of content, and that can be a know your audience thing.
Yeah,
Um, so some may not just don't want the series, but two, tying back to the comment earlier, what's the age group we're talking about here? Because as I said before, the term furry is almost too much of an umbrella, and that's like saying football
right.
fan. Like, well, there's so much an age range of this stuff that's like, what does that really mean? What the like teens are wanting is different than say like the 25-year-olds, which is different than maybe like the 40-year-olds. And there's
True,
gonna be
true. I
overlap.
mean, for me personally, I would hope that Woof Radio would hit a target of, like, I would say 21 to 26. Even and,
I
like,
would almost expect older than that even.
I was gonna
even
say
even
older.
even 21 to 30, I suppose.
I'm thinking like you're 25
Because
to
because
30
like
up.
like
Yeah,
a
that's what
lot
I
of the
was thinking.
things. What did you just say? 30 up?
25
One,
to 30 plus. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
because
25?
because some of the
Well,
stuff we talk about really isn't.
they're serious topics. Sorry, I
Yeah.
shouldn't
well,
cut you off.
right, but that's the thing. It's like to me, to alleviate my soul, my darkened soul, I want this stuff to like hit a 22-year-old to get, the gears working so that they try to minimize the amount of damage that they're about to receive from life, I guess. So I would rather educate beforehand and cause like prevention than be in the situation where it's like, oh, you're just hearing this in hindsight. Like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, this is why all of this happened. Like,
I'm not preaching to the choir.
I almost kind of want to be more of a preventative, like, talk show. More of like
Mm.
an prevention education. Like I don't want to just like capture an audience where it's like, "Oh yeah, you guys already knew all about all this." Like, and yeah, we're too late for those people because like I do come across a lot of people where it's like it's too late. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. Like anything you say it's like, "Oh, that would have been great to know like 15 years ago."
Well, I mean, that might maybe make it more interactive. Get some of them on here. Do it like, uh, this may not be the best thing to reference, but something like The View or some other show with a
Oh my
yes, like the late
god.
night shows. And literally
The
people sitting
the
around and you have
whoopee
them. I mean, I haven't paid
whoopee.
attention. I don't pay attention to that show, but I mean, I'm just thinking something that's multiple people talking because you want to, you it keeps in line with the show. You're trying to talk to people about experiences you've had, especially involving the internet and the fandom. And how do you get them to listen? You got to involve their people. When you look at some of the things that go viral, when I use Twitter, some of the big accounts, the videos they did, it was silly shit, but it did involve people. It could also be split up into short versions. They did compilations. I mean, when you talk about reaching an audience, think about what reached you at
Yeah.
that age. And it wasn't a lot of people, it's not the 2 hour thing or an
No,
hour
right.
thing.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah. That's the thing. It's like yeah, I'm getting older and I'm starting to specifically stick to long form. Like
I remember,
I will listen to podcasts that are like 6 hours long.
see, I'm gonna say something you're not gonna like. I remember when podcasts dropped, I kind of tried them briefly, and this is when you put them on your damn iPod or listen to your computer. I just never could get into it, just listening to people talk, and I'm shocked that the thing is still around. I would have thought that would have like gone some other like trendy thing would have killed podcasts.
Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think? TV killed the radio star?
Oh, I'm thinking I would have thought YouTube would have killed the podcast star.
Oh wow. Well,
I
no,
mean,
that's
once
not the case.
YouTube
Like that's the thing.
YouTube on your
It's like
phone.
well, YouTube added video to the podcast because you see a lot of these fucking podcasts is literally just recording them while they're recording the podcast.
Well, and now sometimes the visuals matter too.
Yeah, some of them have stepped it up with like title cards that flip forward and they have information on them.
Well, like I've seen with Pat
I don't have
McAfee.
yeah, I don't have the resources for that. I would need a whole nother person to
Oh
sit
no,
there and control the stream.
oh, I'm not even saying that. Like I've seen some of Pat McAfee's podcasts just because he commentates on WWE and they'll show clips sometimes because they'll do crossover things. And I mean, you see some podcasters and just them sitting there, but there'll have people on couch. He'll be at the desk with someone else there with the mics, and there'll be interactions that go on. People get up and do things, and it's just almost like it's not quite the same as a late show. I mean, I'm only seeing clips, but it is getting closer to that format where the video
Yeah.
matters. It's what is a
Yeah,
podcast
it's
anymore?
yeah, you are very correct. It is going the late night show way.
But
Like,
that's an evolution of a platform. And there'll be some spring back of people who are like, I don't want to watch this is for my car. But that's how things evolve. And that's even with the
yeah.
internet. It's evolving, but it's paying attention to what people want and also adapting stuff to accommodate and address when there's issues.
Yeah, because like right now, yeah, we have visuals. We're here, like we're recording video, but really in my head, I'm really just about the audio. Like, the conversations we're having. Like, you could really listen to this on like Spotify. Like we were talking about putting this on Spotify. But I
When I
mean,
used to do
eventually, as we get more technically savvy, we could do something like with video.
honestly, when I used to do web videos, no, I'm not telling you what they were. One of the
Whoa,
uploaders I used could put them on Apple for podcasts even. It was weird, which sucked because if you found an error and had to make an edit, you were kind of screwed. But I don't know if it would always go through or not. But yeah, I think everything should be multi-platform. That's the other thing, as I said with the internet. When you leave your stuff locked to a platform, you play into the power of one company, and next thing you know, that platform can power play whatever they want.
okay.
Which is also why I want some of these streamers to multi-platform. Don't just be Twitch, maybe YouTube, but I also kind of hate YouTube,
Well,
so try Kick.
yeah, we're on YouTube right now. We're not on Twitch. So yeah, Woof Radio is basically stuck on YouTube for now. But eventually, if I figured out the technical difficulties of double streaming with two PCs, I will throw this on Twitch live at the same time. So yeah, that's coming eventually. We are gonna, I guess, diversify. There's an
I
easy way around it. I could just pay Streamlabs and they do multi outsource.
I'm gonna be that person and say I liked Kick when I knew it was streaming on there. I thought it was nicer than Twitch, and it felt like it gave you a lot more out of the box for free as a viewer to play with, like just emojis and stuff that were fun to use. Whereas Twitch, it's all like I don't know who the fuck half these things are, or these memes, or I don't know if they're memes, and then you have to pay
Yeah.
for the others. And I'm like, I'd rather PayPal you have some cash than like pay Amazon to then give you a small fraction of that so I can access some emojis.
True. True. Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. It's all tricky. But I will say that I'll remind everybody that I am doing this at a loss. So,
I guess that is the weird thing. When we're mad about these companies for doing what they do, everyone gets mad at paying something that goes to a company in the middle person. But it's also like I think it's a takeaway people should have is consider, particularly when companies are at a smaller size or starting up, don't view them in the same way you view something like YouTube or Amazon because supporting a model, making it viable without them scraping your data and doing shady shit is what us as consumers need. Because otherwise, once they find out the only way to do it is to sell your data, I mean, they either sell themselves to an existing company or they start selling your data. And next thing you know, we're back to the awful platforms that will continue to manipulate you and push you to do people to do shitty things for attention.
yeah. Uh, but I'll try to stay sane, Once our meteoric rise to the top and, Woof Radio's actually established podcast and we're famous, we'll try to stay sane and actually not get crazy with trying
You
to
want to stay sane?
bait people.
Multi-platform everything, including your social media use.
Wow. Okay. But we do need to close it up because Frosty needs to get back to work and I need to get back to work as well because there's updates to be made on the Twitch streams. And I don't know what Evie's doing, but yes,
Uh,
we're closing it up. All right. Well,
Ugh,
any final statements whatsoever?
that was a good nap.
That was a good nap. Napping during the podcast, fantastic. There you go. There you go, guys. I'm so glad we can put you guys to sleep. Like that is one thing about Frosty. Like, from what she says, and sometimes I take it as an insult. She's like, "I like listening to your voice because it's so calming," and
Well,
I'm like, "That
yeah.
is wow. That is not the intention. I'm not trying to put you guys to sleep. Like,
Ow.
it's
you need the T-Pain filter.
Yeah, just very long conversation, lots to cover. Like obviously here in the future, here in the next like 20 years, there's going to be a whole history lesson about just the fucking internet.
There
like
should already be.
and it's going to get started it's going to get start being part of like college courses too, like in anthropology, like modern anthropology, is where all these interactions, like sociology and all that stuff. So, yeah, because the internet is a big part of our society now, and I think it's dying, socially dying, but as Evie did say, we might get a phoenix resurrection eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, pause crossed. We do get that resurrection because right now shit sucks, and being in the fur community is just getting harder and harder every day, and more people are quitting. But
Yeah.
I
I
will
think
try to hang on as much as possible. I'm definitely hanging on. Definitely hanging
I
on as much as
really
possible.
think you need to check out the community and other platforms. It definitely changes going across them. I've only seen one other, but I get the impression in general, just interactions change based on the platform people use.
Yeah. All right, so there you
Yeah.
have it. If you guys want to follow Evie on Blue Sky, his Blue Sky is on there somewhere. Evie, what's your Blue Sky?
I think it's just evwolf dot at beastguy.social.
And it is no long Blue Sky is no longer invite, so I do believe anyone can get in, right?
Yes, evwolf.beastguy.social. There's no invites needed anymore.
Okay, fantastic. And this is Frosty the Arctic Wolf. You can find her on Twitter and Twitch. And I am your host, Nitro Wolf of Wolf Radio and Wolf Gaming, because I am also on Twitch. And that was the episode 11, The Dying Internet. Thank you for joining if you made it all the way back here. And if you're at work, have a good rest of your shift. If you are listening before bed, bad. You should have been already asleep. Drink water, get a good stretch in. We'll see you next time. Good night. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna shut it down. I
Bye.
am scooting towards the camera. It's happening. It's happening.
Wow.
I am in the camera. I am shutting the stream down. This is actually really a cool ending. Like, I'm just gonna end them all